Chapter 778. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow returned to the mansion and met with Yu Qing and the three girls. Love gone little say W. Chu Night Sorrow, the battle of Night Moon's revenge will begin in 3 days. Follow me. Don't be separated, Yu Qing said. She knew that her son was strong, but she was still worried. Okay, I'll stay by your side. Night Sorrow nodded. Yu Qing was worried about him, but he was also worried about his mother's safety. Our Night Clan has already gathered on Night Moon. We'll fight in 3 days. Yi Weo also came to the mansion. Night Sorrow and the three girls stood up and bowed. You guys chat first. I'll go and make arrangements for the battle. It's fine if we don't fight, but if we do, we have to be decisive. Yi Weo came over to see his son. He still had a lot of things to do. Then we'll follow you all the way, mother, Yang Lei said. Why don't you guys wait in the city in the sky? Night Sorrow was a little worried. After all, the three girls were all below the venerable realm. Such a battle would still be dangerous. We're engaged and we're also from Night Moon. Naturally, we can't just watch others fight and do nothing, Sikong Chuyu also said. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow nodded. The three girls would be safe with him. If there was really a situation that they couldn't handle, Shueshi could help. Baidu search AI go female sign Xiao say www.ichuxs. For the next 3 days, the Taiqing domain was very quiet. No one knew that the experts of the Night Moon dynasty had left the Night Moon Sea and were ready to go. On the fixed date, Night Sorrow and Yu Qing left the mansion with Sikong Chuyu, the three girls and Tianyu. When the group approached the training grounds, they were stopped by the members of the God-slaying squad. A group of people blocked Night Sorrow's path. Captain, isn't your business our business? Fortunately, we overheard Elder Ling Lan's conversation. Otherwise, we wouldn't have known that you were going to abandon us and fight by yourself. Ho Jian said as he looked at Night Sorrow. Baidu search AI go female sign Xiao say www.ichuxs.com. This is my family's business. I can't drag my brothers into this, Night Sorrow said. The matters of our brothers are our matters. You have always treated us as brothers and fought for us. Now that you are in trouble, you cast us aside. That's not appropriate. This time we are fighting for our brothers, Ho Jian said. Fight for our brothers. Fight for our brothers. Yong Ek Geo 7 free our fee dollar look. Little AJ says and the members of the God-slaying team knocked on their breastplates in response to Ho Jian's words. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Night Sorrow nodded at the group. AI Go Xiao say after hearing Night Sorrow's words, the members of the God-slaying squad stepped aside and followed behind Night Sorrow and the others. After the group arrived at the teleportation array, they began to teleport towards the Night Moon City. Night Moon City was solemn. Warriors in black armor stood on both sides of the street. Yesterday Yi Linghuan had officially appeared and announced the return of the Yi clan. Today the battle for revenge would begin. Night Sorrow and Yu Qing led the group to the Night Moon City. Many people had already gathered on the Night Moon City. Yi Linghuan introduced the other two emperors to Night Sorrow. One of them was Night Sorrow's great-grandfather Yi Xinxian. He was the previous ruler of the Night Moon dynasty. The other one was Night Sorrow's great-aunt Yi Xinyue. She was also the only empress of the Night Moon dynasty. There were also a few other princes who had appeared on the Night Moon City. Behind the Yi clan were the Night Moon Iron Guards. Yi Linghuan had arranged for Yi Linglan and Yi Lingyuan to assemble the old subordinates of the Night Moon City. In the past, Night Sorrow hadn't noticed. Now he realized that there were over 10,000 Night Moon Iron Guards. From the Night Moon City to the Night Moon City, there were Night Moon Iron Guards on both sides of the road. Then Yi Xinxian led the Yi clan to burn incense. Then Night Moon's emperors and princes put on the king's battle armor. Because she was a concubine and a high-level venerable, Yu Qing also put on the king's battle armor. Night Sorrow, come here. Yi Xinxian waved at Night Sorrow. Greetings, great-grandfather. Night Sorrow bowed. You are Night Moon's young master. A mid-level venerable should also have a title. However, I haven't asked for your opinion. The title will be delayed for a while. However, you are qualified to wear the king's battle armor. Ling Huan, put the king's battle armor on Night Sorrow. Yi Xinxian waved his hand. Yi Linghuan personally put the king's battle armor on Night Sorrow. Ling Huan, you make the arrangements for the following matters. Yi Xinxian walked down the stage and handed the task of presiding over the overall situation to Yi Linghuan. Yi Xinxian was currently the most senior member of Night Moon. He was also the previous generation's leader. Thus he presided over the ceremony. The following matters of the battle were arranged by Yi Linghuan. Then Yi Linghuan announced the battle plan. First, they would attack the Golden Dragon King's empire. They would directly attack the core of the Golden Dragon King's empire, the Golden Dragon City. The battle plan was similar to Knight Sorrow's previous city extermination battles. After controlling the teleportation array, they would directly attack the Golden Dragon Imperial Palace. The personnel arrangement was that some venerables would lead Night Moon's Iron Guards to advance from the outer cities. The Yi clan's emperors and powerful people would directly attack the Golden Dragon City. Knight Sorrow also asked for battle. He wanted to lead the god-slaying team to attack the Golden Dragon City. Yi Linghuan thought for a moment and agreed. After all, Night Moon's young master should be present for such a big battle. In addition, Yi Linghuan knew that Knight Sorrow had a big secret. Otherwise, he would not have been able to deal with the 7-star saint. He would also be useful at the crucial moment. As Night Moon's battle flag was waved, the Night Moon Empire's revenge war began. The core members of the battle teleported to Taiching City and then to the Golden Dragon City. The Yi clan's emperors took over the teleportation array. Then the others teleported over one after another. Normally, the teleportation array of the Imperial City could not be used for war. However, the rules of Taiching Imperial City were chaotic. The City Lord and Deputy City Lord's residents were not in charge. How could some elders control the current situation? Brother Ling Xia guard the teleportation array. The rest of you set off for the Golden Dragon Imperial Palace. Yi Linghuan led his men and flew towards the Golden Dragon King Imperial Palace. Those who tried to stop him by the side of the road were directly killed by the sword chi. In a moment, Night Moon's men arrived in front of the Golden Dragon Imperial Palace. At this time, people came out of the Golden Dragon Imperial Palace. With such a big lineup, how could the Golden Dragon King Imperial Palace not notice? Yi Linghuan. The Golden Dragon King Imperial King Jianghu's expression changed when he saw Yi Linghuan. You didn't expect to see this king again, right? Yi Linghuan looked at Jianghu coldly. You're a saint? Jianghu's expression was very ugly. Because the Golden Dragon King Imperial Palace did not have a saint, they could not stop Night Moon's men who were led by a saint. It's time to settle the score. You should have thought of this day when you ambushed Night Moon Imperial Palace. Kill. Yi Linghuan moved. With a wave of his left hand, the power of laws pressed down on Jianghu. At the same time, his right hand slashed in front of him. A spatial blade cut through the sky and slashed towards Jianghu. Knight Sorrow also moved. He raised a protective barrier and charged towards the Golden Dragon King Imperial Palace. The members of the god-slaying team followed closely behind Knight Sorrow. At the same time, Night Moon's Emperor Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing all charged towards the Golden Dragon Imperial Palace. The hatred from the battle back then was too deep. Night Moon had lost too many family members. Chapter 779. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Yu Qing had been following behind Knight Sorrow. She didn't care about how many opponents she killed, but she cared about her son's safety. Love, gone little, say, Netka. Knight Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear and led the god-slaying team to attack the Golden Dragon King's crowd. The cultivation of the members of the god-slaying team was a little low, but their joint combat ability was strong. Even venerables were killed. Not to mention the beginner venerables, Yun Huang, Ling Long, and Liang Yu formed a formation to resist the intermediate venerables, so the pressure was not great. The more Yu Qing watched, the more shocked she became. Not to mention the members of the god-slaying team, Knight Sorrow's combat strength was too strong. Not to mention his fast speed, the strength of his attacks was also extremely domineering. Intermediate venerables were also repelled by him. After Yi Linghuan killed Jianghu, the battle came to an end. The main reason was that the people from the Night Moon dynasty were too strong this time. They were led by a saint and an invincible venerable. The 3 peak venerables of the Golden Dragon King's dynasty were not enough to kill them. After the battle, someone counted the spoils. Then Yi Linghuan waved his arm, and the Night Moon dynasty's flag was placed on the top of the Golden Dragon King's palace, announcing that this was the territory of the Night Moon dynasty. After asking Night God Thunder to guard this place, Yi Linghuan sent someone to connect the teleportation array to the Golden Dragon King City and the Night Moon City. Then he arranged for everyone to gather here in 6 hours and arranged for everyone to be teleported to each city to start the battle. The tactic adopted by the Night Moon dynasty was the same as the one used by Tianji Tower to destroy the Tianfeng dynasty. It was a thunderous tactic, a tactic where the strong fought the weak. If the two sides were about the same, they would usually push forward. If they were stronger, they could use the thunderous tactic to kill the leader. Knight Sorrow led the god-slaying team to destroy Dragontail City. There were no experts in Dragontail City, so Knight Sorrow and the others took it down easily. Yu Qing, who was following them, did not even need to do anything. Knight Sorrow gave all the resources to Yu Qing. This was the Battle of Night Moon Dynasty, so the god-slaying team naturally did not take the spoils of war. Moreover, the god-slaying team did not lack of resources. The god-slaying team did not burn the cities either because the Night Moon Dynasty still had to rule over the cities. They were their own. 3 hours later, Yi Yu's troops gathered in front of the Golden Dragon Palace again. Only 2 groups suffered light injuries which did not affect the rest of the battle at all. The Night Moon Dynasty's Iron Guards had already taken over the cities, but each city still lacked a leader. They did not continue fighting because the news could no longer be kept under wraps. Both the Qingming Dynasty and the Red Leaf Dynasty would be prepared. Since the Blitzkrieg was ineffective, the next step was a direct confrontation. The Night Moon Dynasty was not afraid of a direct confrontation. On the other hand, the Night Moon Dynasty was not in a hurry. First, they would take over and stabilize the Golden Dragon King Dynasty's territory. Knight Sorrow led the deicide squad and found a residence to rest. Yu Qing followed along. Yi Shang brewed a pot of tea, poured a cup for Yu Qing and said with a smile, "Mother, you're following me everywhere. You child, you go crazy when you fight. Why did you go so deep into the battlefield? Group battles are different from individual battles. You have to consider how to coordinate and rescue each other," Yu Qing said as she looked at Knight Sorrow. She was very worried, but she couldn't bear to scold her son. The Night Moon Dynasty entered a period of rest. However, the Tai Qing domain was in chaos. The former number 1 dynasty of the Tai Qing domain had returned and defeated the Golden Dragon King dynasty in one battle. This announced that the situation of the Tai Qing domain would change again. The Qingming dynasty sent people to contact the 7-star dynasty. However, the 7-star dynasty's upper echelons did not appear. The upper echelons of the Qingming dynasty and the Red Leaf dynasty met to discuss this matter. However, no one knew the situation of the 7-star dynasty. No matter who went to request an audience, the upper echelons were in seclusion. However, the Red Leaf dynasty calmed down. The news of the battle had attracted a saint, a 5-star saint. Night Moon Dynasty, do they think the Tai Qing domain is a place where they can do whatever they want? I've been in secluded meditation for hundreds of years just for this day. Let them fight first. If they don't fight, we'll fight. Inside the main hall of the Imperial Palace, an old man in an embroidered robe covered with maple leaves said. The Qingming dynasty was not too afraid. They were currently in an alliance with the Red Leaf dynasty. As long as the Night Moon dynasty attacked, the Red Leaf dynasty would definitely support them. Xiaolanjun and the others on the island in the Realm Sea also heard the news. I didn't expect the battle to progress so quickly, Xiaolanjun said with some emotion. Our people received news that a few days before this battle, a battle broke out in the 7-star dynasty. The 7-star sacred planet, Mingi, was defeated by a 4-star saint and was severely injured. This is directly related to the 7-star dynasty's current inactivity, Guoxiao said. What's the specific situation? Lin Yuandao asked. It's a saintess who hasn't appeared before. Her black hair draped over her shoulders and she wore a veil. I've never heard of such a saint. The other key point is that the one who appeared with this saintess was the young master of the Tianji Tower, Guoxiao said again. When did this guy get to know a saint? Xiaolanjun stood up. Wu Lingfei also fell into deep thought. She didn't understand what was going on. She had always known about Night Sorrow's situation, but now a saintess who could fight above her level had suddenly appeared. She didn't know it all. There's also a 5-star saint in the Red Leaf dynasty who calls himself Thousand Leaves Saint, Guoxiao said. Isn't the 7-star saint also a 5-star saint? Night Sorrow can deal with the 7-star saint, so Thousand Leaves Saint naturally won't affect Night Moon's revenge. Let's wait and see, Xiaolanjun said after thinking for a while. Elder Xia, I want to go and take a look, Wu Lingfei said after thinking for a while. She really couldn't let go of Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was her family. Xiaolanjun nodded. If it was anyone else she could deny or even order them, but Wu Lingfei couldn't. In addition to being the deputy lord of the Tianji Tower, Wu Lingfei was also the region lord of the Eastern Xian domain. Night Sorrow also received news about Thousand Leaves Saint. Although Night Moon had just returned, there were still spies. Just as Night Sorrow decided to take Yin Shi to do something again, Wu Lingfei came. When Wu Lingfei and Yu Qing were chatting, Night Sorrow knew that this matter couldn't be hidden anymore. He communicated with Yin Shi. He wanted to confess to Wu Lingfei and ask for her understanding. Although she didn't want to, Yin Shi knew that with the relationship between Wu Lingfei and Night Sorrow would tell Wu Lingfei sooner or later. After chatting with Yu Qing for a while, Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow. "Aunt Fei, let's go out for a walk," Night Sorrow said to Wu Lingfei. Then the two left the city and went to a quiet forest outside the city. Night Sorrow took out 2 jars of wine and handed one to Wu Lingfei. "Aunt Fei doesn't want to ask too much about you. I'm just a little worried." Wu Lingfei knew that Night Sorrow wanted to talk about serious matters. Look at the chapter of 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 the chapter. "I know. Aunt Fei is family in my heart. If I did something wrong, would you forgive me?" Night Sorrow asked after taking a sip of wine. Chapter 780. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? I will provide you with interesting novels to read. Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei in astonishment. He did not expect Wu Lingfei to give such an answer. Love go little say, Chu, there is no absolute right or wrong in this world. Whatever you do, Auntie Fei will support you. Not for anything else but because I am your Auntie Fei. Wu Lingfei looked at the astonished Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow felt guilty. Wu Lingfei treated him like this, yet he still hid it from her. This made him feel ashamed. Following which, Night Sorrow told her everything from when he was captured by Yin Shi until now. Wu Lingfei kept listening. When she heard some things between men and women, her emotions fluctuated. Following which, Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei. He still wanted to know Wu Lingfei's attitude. The black-robed female sage who defeated the 7-star sage is Yin Shi, who has recovered her cultivation? Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Yes, I asked her to change her attire and deal with the 7-star sage. Night Sorrow nodded. Following which, he sent Yin Shi out of the time-space pagoda. Greetings, Lord Wu. Quebec. Yin Shi, who had already turned her hair black and was wearing a moon-white dress, bowed to Wu Lingfei. Wu Lingfei nodded. Since things have already come to this, I do not want to say anything more. However, if you dare to trick Night Sorrow, I will not let you go even if you go to the ends of the earth. Love go little say, Chu. Yin Shi nodded again. She understood that Night Sorrow was very important to Wu Lingfei. These words were not a threat. Following which, Night Sorrow kept Yin Shi back into the time-space pagoda. Following which, he sealed his soul power. This is a good thing. It solves a hidden worry for you. However, you will not be able to answer to Chu Yu, Yang Lei and Aoi. Wu Lingfei thought for a moment and said. I am somewhat unable to face them. I don't even dare to face Aunt Fei. Night Sorrow nodded. The matter with Yin Shi had given Night Sorrow a lot of pressure. Wu Lingfei nodded. This matter isn't your fault. Auntie Fei will explain it for you later. There are also some things that you don't have to say. Night Sorrow understood what Wu Lingfei meant. She wanted to hide a part of it from the 3 women, so he had to think about it. As he drank and chatted with Wu Lingfei, Night Sorrow glanced at Wu Lingfei's expression from time to time. He didn't want her to be disappointed in him. What are you looking at? You didn't do anything wrong in this matter. Wu Lingfei looked at the nervous Night Sorrow and said with a smile. I don't want Auntie Fei to be disappointed in me. Now that things have developed to this point, it is not what I want. Night Sorrow sighed. Now that things have developed to this point, it is a good result. The 9-domain world is going to be in chaos. Killing her will harm the strength of the 9-domain world, but not killing her will be a huge threat. Therefore, subduing her is the best outcome. Wu Lingfei smiled at Night Sorrow. She really didn't want Night Sorrow to feel pressured. She had watched Night Sorrow grow up. She knew what kind of temperament and character Night Sorrow had. Look at the original version of the book square root chapter O** above. Afterwards, Wu Lingfei and Night Sorrow returned to the Golden Dragon City. The Golden Dragon City was already in a state of martial law. Night Moon's men had already taken over the Golden Dragon City and started to reorganize it. Currently, Night God Thunder was the city lord of the renamed Golden Moon City. After taking a casual stroll and looking at the situation in Golden Moon City, Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei arrived at the God-slaying team's camp. Wuxia was also here. Everyone was eating barbecued meat from the wild beasts that Yun Huang had caught outside the city. Seeing Wu Lingfei, Wuxia stood up and cupped his hands. Baidu search AI go female sign xiao say www.ichuxs.com. Father, shouldn't you be very busy right now? How come you have time to drink and eat meat? Night Sorrow asked after finding a chair for Wu Lingfei and sitting down. There's nothing to be busy about. The family won't arrange anything specific for me, Yi Wuyo said with a smile. The current ruler of the Night Moon dynasty was Yi Linghuan. The next ruler would be Yi Wuyo. Therefore Yi Wuyo's job was to control the overall situation. There would be no specific tasks for him. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and understood this. Then he took out a jar of green blood wine and handed it to Yi Wuyo. He gave Yu Qing and Wu Lingfei the milder 100 herbs wine. Captain, there's not enough barbecued meat. Let's go catch some wild beasts. Ho Jian stood up and said. I'll go. Tianyu stood up. Catching wild beasts was Tianyu's strength. Tianyu, I want to eat bear meat. Birds are fine too, Night Sorrow shouted at Tianyu, who had already transformed into his original form. Brother Shirsan, just wait. After responding, Tianyu disappeared. This partner is really amazing, Yi Wuyo said with some emotion. Not long after I started cultivating, I met Tianyu. We fought side by side for the past few years. He is a brother that I can live and die with. Night Sorrow nodded. Tianyu's speed was not to be underestimated. In a moment he had hunted a large gray bear and flew back. Ho Jian and the others handled it and roasted it. After chatting for a while and drinking some wine, Yi Wuyo left. Although no one gave him any specific tasks, there were some things he had to take care of. Night Sorrow also planned to leave and go to the Red Leaves dynasty. Night Moon was going to fight, so they had to first eliminate the enemy's strongest force. Only then could they minimize their losses. Aunt Fei will go with you. Seeing Night Sorrow about leaving, Yi Wuyo said. After thinking for a moment, Night Sorrow nodded and then bowed to Yu Qing. Yu Qing cupped her hands to Wu Lingfei. Then I'll have to trouble Lord Wu Kei to take care of Night Sorrow. It's nothing. Madam Yi, don't worry. Wu Lingfei nodded. Other than when she was with Yi Shang, Wu Lingfei was more casual. She spoke more and had more expressions. She rarely interacted with others and was very formal. Even Yu Qing, whom she got along well with, was the same. Brother Shirsan, don't you want me to follow you? Tianyu looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I don't need it this time. I'll definitely bring you with me in the future. Night Sorrow patted Tianyu's shoulder and said. They were going out to fight the saint, so Tianyu followed them as a means of transportation. But now Night Sorrow was not willing to ride Tianyu if he did not need it. After leaving the mansion, Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, Aunt Fei, it's not very appropriate for you to appear. It will bring some bad influence to the Eastern Shen region and Tianji Tower. Aunt Fei hasn't thought about this. I just feel at ease watching you. Besides, if you want to fight, then let's fight. Aunt Fei is not afraid of anything, Wu Lingfei said. Then after teleporting to Maple City, Aunt Fei, you can hide. If I need your help, you can come and help, Night Sorrow said. How about this? I'll also enter the space-time pagoda. If you need me, you can teleport me out, Wu Lingfei said. No, that's not good. Besides, Aunt Fei can't see the situation outside. Night Sorrow shook his head. He knew that Wu Lingfei had absolute trust in him because the space-time pagoda was Night Sorrow's treasure. In the space-time pagoda, Night Sorrow was the ruler. Without absolute trust, no one would enter someone else's spatial treasure. It was equivalent to handing their lives to someone else. Chapter 781. Geniuses remember love in 1 second? We provide you with interesting novels to read. Yi Shan nodded and then brought Yin Shi out of the space-time treasure pagoda. Greetings, Mistress Wu. Quebec. Yin Shi's attitude was very humble because she knew that Wu Ling concubine was the person Yi Shang respected the most. If she didn't respect Wu Ling concubine, it would be the same as making Yi Shang feel disgusted and angering him. You have to be more open-minded about some things. I won't comment on your relationship with Night Sorrow, but you don't have to be humble in front of others. You don't owe anyone anything and you don't have to look at anyone's face. Wu Lingfei looked at Yin Shi and said, I don't have to in front of others, but Mistress Wu Kei is the person Night Sorrow respects the most. Yin Shi nodded. Then the three of them began to teleport through Taiching City and to Maple City. There were many experts guarding outside Maple City's teleportation formation. 2 high-level honorables led the team and a mid-level honorable. Stop. Who are you? Where are you from? I want to investigate in detail. The high-rank venerable swung his sword horizontally and blocked the path of Yi Shang's group. After knowing that the Golden Dragon King's empire was destroyed, Maple City entered the highest state of alert. There was even a mid-level honorable who kept his hand on the teleportation formation's teleportation crystal. Once a large number of people teleported, the teleportation formation would be sealed immediately. Investigate? Go to hell. Inshi's left hand surged with the power of law and she swung the flowing wind sword with her right hand. The high-level honorable wasn't prepared for battle. Inshi's sword chi pierced through his head, piercing his spirit sea and destroying his soul. Even if the high-level honorable was prepared, it was useless. The difference between an honorable and a saint was too big. He couldn't fight back. Since she had already attacked, she didn't hold back. She swung the flowing wind sword and killed all the saints around the teleportation formation. The mid-level honorable who wanted to destroy the teleportation formation was suppressed by Inshi's power of law and didn't have the chance to do so. Night Sorrow kept the storage rings and weapons. The two high-level venerables were using spiritual weapons. Then the three of them continued to fly into the city. Night Sorrow was led by Wu Lingfei. Their target was the Thousand Leaves Saint, not a supremacy. Even a peak supremacy would not affect Night Moon's revenge. What kind of speed was a saint? Moments later, the three of them arrived at the Maple Imperial Palace. There really are people who have come to die. Thousand Leaf Saint appeared in front of the Red Leaf Imperial Palace with a group of people. Just looking at him makes me angry. Why don't we just kill him instead of negotiating? Inshi looked at Night Sorrow. Alright, I'll listen to you this time. Kill him. Night Sorrow was furious at Thousand Leaf Sheng's arrogance. Shameless boasting. A 4-star saint and a 2-star saint dare to be so arrogant in my Red Leaf dynasty. I would rather have 2 saint women. Thousand Leaves Saint laughed loudly. The other upper echelons of the Red Leaf dynasty laughed as well. You'll die today. Inshi and Wu Lingfei said the same thing. At the same time, Inshi's body flashed and flew towards Thousand Leaves Sheng. Flowing Wind Sword also attacked. Thousand Leaves Sheng's words provoked her. She was now subdued by Night Sorrow and was Night Sorrow's woman. She was furious when others talked about this. Wu Lingfei's side was the same. Who wouldn't be arrogant to be able to cultivate to the saint realm? After Inshi attacked, Thousand Leaves Sheng's expression changed. Inshi was too fast and he couldn't keep up. Wu Lingfei also attacked. She originally didn't plan to attack, but after Thousand Leaves Sheng's words and the others laughed, it angered her. Let me go, Aunt Fei. I'll kill them too. Night Sorrow was also very angry. This Thousand Leaves Sheng was too shameless. The other members of the Red Leaf dynasty were the same. They mainly insulted Wu Lingfei and Inshi, which Night Sorrow couldn't tolerate. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Wu Lingfei, who was using energy to envelop Night Sorrow, let go of her protective energy shield and let Night Sorrow kill them too. The three of them had different targets. Inshi suppressed Thousand Leaves Sheng, Wu Lingfei chased after the peak honorables, and Night Sorrow attacked the ordinary honorables. Night Sorrow and the other two had the upper hand in the battle, and then it was a one-sided massacre. Inshi's cultivation and battle strength weren't proportional because she had the comprehension and realm of a 7-star saint. In addition, she had cultivated the wind origin body. Wu Lingfei used to be an invincible honorable and then entered the saint realm with a high-level attribute. Her battle strength was far beyond her actual cultivation. Night Sorrow's side was needless to say. Although he was a level 4 honorable, a mid-level honorable was no match for him. After a while, the upper echelons of the Red Leaf dynasty were almost all killed, except for some who fled when they saw the situation wasn't good. Only Thousand Leaves Sheng was left. You still dare to boast so shamelessly? If you have any ideas about us, you'll have to die. Inshi sped up her attack. Night Sorrow could tell that Thousand Leaves Sacred had been able to hold on until now by relying on a special movement technique. He had many illusions which caused some of Inshi's attacks to miss. You guys are ruthless. I won't let today's matter rest. Thousand Leaves Sheng planned to leave when he saw that there was no hope of victory. His body shook quickly and then many illusions rushed out in all directions. This was Thousand Leaves Sheng's 100 illusion body technique. These illusions weren't illusions but were between the real body and the phantom body. As long as one of them escaped, he would be able to survive. This was because each of the illusions was the real body, and they all had his soul power and origin power. If one of them escaped, the others would disperse, and the energy would merge with his body so it wouldn't affect his strength too much. It was because of this 100 illusion body technique that Thousand Leaves Sheng dared to challenge Night Moon Dynasty. Look at the G version in Chapter Y Section 2E, you'll have to pay the price if you want to run. Wu Lingfei rose into the air and instantly turned into a golden king bird. To be precise, it was a golden phoenix. With a cry that resounded through the heavens, The golden phoenix opened its beak and directly absorbed all of these phantom avatars that didn't have much fighting strength into its body. I'm going to kill you all. The illusions that ran away screamed. Thousand Leaves Sheng suffered a great loss after Wu Lingfei used her innate skill. His energy, life origin, and soul power had been divided into 100 parts, and Wu Lingfei had absorbed 60 to 70% of them into her body space. This was equivalent to destroying half of his cultivation base. The 100 illusion body technique was very overbearing. It could be dissolved by itself and the energy would return. It would only consume some of the user's energy, but it wouldn't cause much damage. However, Wu Lingfei's appearance changed the power of the 100 illusion body technique. Once it was absorbed into Wu Lingfei's body space, Thousand Leaves Sheng couldn't take it back. The golden phoenix shuttled back and forth, continuing to attack the phantoms. Inshi also chased after the phantoms that made the sound. However, at this moment, that illusory doppelganger dissipated, its energy dissipating and flying away. This was because a few of the illusions had run out of the three's sight. That bastard still got away. Inshi was very angry. Chapter 782. Genius 1 second. Remember Love Go/Little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Auntie Fei, are you alright? Yishang asked. No problem. It's just a clone that doesn't have much resistance. It's not a threat to Aunt Fei. The pure energy of the clone is actually helpful for Aunt Fei's cultivation. In a few days it'll be a top-quality cultivation resource. Wu Lingfei smiled. That's good. From the looks of it, the Red Leaf Dynasty won't be able to resist Night Moon Dynasty's attack. Once the Red Leaf Dynasty is dealt with, only the Green Nether Dynasty is left. This won't pose much of a threat to Night Moon. Currently, the Night Moon Dynasty's problem isn't war but rule. Night Sorrow said. You see it very clearly. Let's clean up the battlefield first, then we'll go collect resources. This Red Leaf Palace should have some resources. Wu Lingfei said. Then Night Sorrow began to clean up the battlefield. Wu Lingfei had killed many people, but he didn't collect any resources. Yin Shi and Wu Lingfei threw the storage rings and weapons they collected to Night Sorrow. They didn't have much meaning to them. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Wu Lingfei didn't lack resources. Besides, Night Sorrow had given her a lot of resources. She and Night Sorrow were inseparable. There was no need to talk about Yin Shi. She was Night Sorrow's, so there was no need to talk about resources. Red Leaf Palace's underground storage was very big. Night Sorrow didn't hold back and directly moved all the resources into his storage ring. As for the types and prices, Night Sorrow didn't look at them because he didn't have time. After he finished here, he could inform Night Moon Dynasty to attack. Coming out of Red Leaf Palace, the three of them returned to the teleportation array. At this time, the teleportation array was in chaos. Many Red Leaf Dynasty people were running. Yishang let out a loud roar before he calmed down. You guys wait here. I'll go to the Tianji Tower branch and call for people to guard this place. Otherwise, it'll be troublesome if the teleportation array is destroyed. Wu Lingfei left after saying that, rushing towards the Tianji Tower branch in Maple Imperial City. A moment later, people from Tianji Tower arrived at the teleportation array and protected it. Next, Night Sorrow's group of 3 teleported to Extreme Clarity City. At this moment, Extreme Clarity City was in a state of chaos. Many people had teleported over from Red Leaf Imperial City and had already spread the news of the Red Leaf Dynasty's upper echelons being killed. Night Sorrow looked at Yin Shi after they were some distance away from the teleportation portal. I can enter the space-time pagoda. Love Gone Little say. Yin Shi nodded. Yin Shi, we might have had some conflicts in the past. Take care of yourself. I will persuade Night Sorrow to treat you better, Wu Lingfei said to Yin Shi. Thank you, Mistress Wu. Yin Shi cupped her hands towards Wu Lingfei. She understood that Wu Lingfei didn't reject her and had accepted her existence. Night Sorrow, I won't go to Golden Moon City with you. I don't want to get involved, Wu Lingfei said. This battle was led by Yin Shi and she didn't want to take credit. Aunt Fei, there's no need for you to think like that. However, I respect your wishes. Can you go to Sky City to rest? Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei and said. Hee. Alright, you know me. Then go to your things. I'll go to Sky City later, Wu Lingfei said with a smile. Then, Night Sorrow directly teleported to Golden Moon City and met with Yi Linghuan and the other emperors. You mean Thousand Leaves Saint has been dealt with? Yi Linghuan looked at Night Sorrow in shock. Yes, he did. However, he has lost at least 70% of his strength. He won't be able to do anything evil in a short period of time. Once he spends a lot of time to recover, Grandpa can easily kill him. In addition, the higher-ups of the Red Leaves dynasty are almost all dealt with. Grandpa can arrange for people to take over the cities. Also, I don't think there's a need to attack the Green Nether dynasty for the time being. It's easy for us to take them down now, but the most important thing is to stabilize our position, Knight Sorrow said to Yiling Huan. You're right. Grandpa will kill their monarch later and get their resources first. We'll study them when we conquer them. Yiling Huan's eyes never left Knight Sorrow. Because of Night Moon's revenge, Knight Sorrow's side had done more than half of it. There's one more thing. I was afraid that the Red Leaves dynasty would transfer their resources, so I took them all. Who's in charge of Night Moon's resources now? I'll pass it on. Knight Sorrow looked at the emperors of Night Moon and asked. Yishang, back then the family threw you out and we've let you down. During this period of time, the family's resources have all been yours. If the family really lacked resources, it wouldn't have been a problem to use your resources because you're Yi Yu's young master. However, Yi Yu doesn't lack resources now, so what you have is yours. Yi Xinyu, who was wearing her king's battle robes, looked at Yishang with guilt and kindness. That's right, just take them. After this battle, Night Moon will be able to recover, Knight Xinshen said. Knight Sorrow nodded. He understood that after conquering the Golden Dragon King dynasty, Night Moon had obtained a large amount of resources, and they would soon take over the Red Leaves dynasty's resources. Moreover, the Seven-Star dynasty would also have a large amount of resources as compensation, so there wouldn't be any problems. Then I'll take my people back to Sky City. I'm also an alchemist, so if the family wants to refine medicinal pills, they can come to me, Knight Sorrow said after thinking for a moment. Are you helping this king? That's right. Where did you get your peak-quality medicinal pills? Knight Xinyu asked as she looked at Knight Sorrow. I refine them myself, Knight Sorrow said. You're an alchemy grandmaster? Knight Xinyu looked at Knight Sorrow with some surprise. When Knight Sorrow obtained Night Moon's peak-quality medicinal pills, everyone thought that Knight Sorrow had asked someone to refine them for him. They didn't think that Knight Sorrow would be able to refine them himself. Yes, I can refine any peak-quality medicinal pills below Tier 5. If you need them, elders can come to Sky City to inform me, Knight Sorrow said before leaving Golden Moon Hall. What's going on? It's been 21 years since Night Moon was besieged, and he's already a middle venerable at the age of 21. He's also an alchemy grandmaster. I'm a bit confused, Knight Xinyu said as she rubbed her temples. Uncle, Auntie Knight Sorrow is also an array master. Night Moon's teleportation array was set up by him, but it seems that he hasn't studied the field of arrays yet, Yiling Xie said. After we returned to Night Moon Sea, my brothers gave me the task of cultivating the next generation. When Yanxiao was still young, Yilan and Yijun weren't bad, but they were still a bit lacking. When Yanxiao grew up, I saw hope. Now it seems that Knight Sorrow is Night Moon's true future. I hope third brother doesn't mind me saying this. Knight Xinyu sighed and then smiled at Knight Xinlei. Chapter 783. Genius 1 second. Remember love go divided by little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Xinlei, you have to do some work with Yilan and Yijun. Night Moon's unity is the core. Don't let anything that shouldn't happen happen. Yi Xinxian looked at Yi Xinlei and said. Yes, Yi Xinxian looked at Yi Xinlei and said. Brother, don't worry. I'll make arrangements. If they dare to be disobedient, I'll break their legs. Night Moon's tradition can never be broken, said Yi Xinlei. Unity was what all Night Moon people insisted on. No one was an exception. Yi Xinxian nodded. He believed that Yi Xinlei would handle it well. He also believed that Night Moon people's unity was in their blood. Brother, don't worry. Yilan and Yijun have good temperaments. After they found out about Knight Sorrow, they both wanted to see Knight Sorrow, their cousin. Also, when they found out that we were grooming Yanxiao as our successor, they didn't have any objections. They just took care of Yanxiao as their younger sister. Besides, Knight Sorrow is definitely able to convince everyone, said Yi Xinxian with a smile. Yi Xinyu said with a smile. She had always taught Yi Yu's juniors, so she understood Yi Yu's children very well. There's another problem. Knight Sorrow doesn't care too much about Night Moon's identity as the successor. Last time, when I mentioned that if he didn't appear, Yanxiao would be the successor, he directly said that it wouldn't affect him. It's fine as long as Yanxiao is the successor, said Yiling Xie. Night Moon's dynasty returned with a strong momentum. It's destined to be the #1 dynasty in the Taiqing region. Is Night Moon's young master not impressive enough? One sentence can decide the fate of others. One sentence can decide the rise and fall of a power. Is that not enough? Said Yi Shenquang. What's the status of Tianji Tower's young master? But our Knight Sorrow refused. He was forced to do it by the people of Tianji Tower. He admitted to being Night Moon's young master because he wanted to shoulder the responsibility and help Night Moon stand up again. As for status and power, he doesn't care at all, Yi Lingxia said. Night Moon's emperor, as well as Yi Wuyo and his wife, didn't have much contact with Night Sorrow, so they didn't understand Night Sorrow. However, Yi Lingxia knew very well. Baidu search AI go female sign Xiao say www.ichuxs.com, then what does he care about? Yi Shenyu didn't quite understand. He cares about kinship and kindness. Apart from these two things, he is a madman who pursues cultivation and self-improvement. Yi Lingxia gave his evaluation of Night Sorrow. Golden Phoenix also sees him as the future of Eastern Xian region. There are many people who want to steal him from our Night Moon. Yi Linghuan said. Linghuan, you have to handle this matter well. No one can steal him from you, Yi Shenlei said to Yi Linghuan. Yi Linghuan looked at Night God Thunder and said, Third uncle, I have 5 bloodline energy points and am already a saint. Moon Queen has 6 bloodline energy points and we all know what she has achieved. He has 7 bloodline energy points. Who can control his future? Baidu search AI go female sign Xiao say www.ichuxs.com. We'll talk about this later. Let's take down the Red Leaf Dynasty first and stabilize the situation. Ling Huan, make the battle arrangements first. Yi Shenxian was very pleased to have a descendant like Night Sorrow. No matter what, he was happy. Then Yi Linghuan arranged for Yi Shenlei to take charge of Golden Moon City. The other experts led their troops to attack the Red Leaf Dynasty. Night Sorrow led the god-slaying team back to Sky City. However, Yu Qing did not follow them back. She still had to fight with her husband. After returning to Sky City, Night Sorrow went to Wu Lingfei's loft. You came back very quickly. Aren't you going to fight? Wu Lingfei, who was wearing a white dress, walked out of the loft. There's no pressure in the battle. I won't participate in it. Is there any problem with Aunt Fei? Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei and asked. There's no problem. Aunt Fei took advantage of this battle. Taking that guy's phantom doppelganger is equivalent to taking his cultivation and energy. Aunt Fei can slowly refine it. In the future, you won't lack the energy to raise your cultivation by 2 levels. Wu Lingfei smiled and nodded at Night Sorrow. That's good. Aunt Fei can rest for a few more days. Night Sorrow had been worried that Wu Lingfei had taken Thousand Leaves Sheng's phantom doppelganger. Now he was relieved. We can't rest. We've refined Thousand Leaves Saint's doppelganger, but his soul power is still struggling. We have to continue refining it. However, I can feel a connection. What we should do now is chase after Thousand Leaves Saint and kill him to prevent future troubles, said Wu Lingfei to Yi Shan. Good. Let's go now. Night Sorrow nodded at Wu Lingfei. Although Thousand Leaves Sheng's strength was destroyed and Night Moon had someone to contend with, he was still a great threat to those who were not at the top. If they could kill him, it would be a good thing. Then Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei left the loft. After saying goodbye to Sikong Chuyu and the other 2 women who were drinking tea, they left Sky City and went to Taiching City. Let her out. It's very stuffy inside. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow talked with Yin Shi for a while and then led Yin Shi, who had changed her clothes, out of the pagoda of time and space. Thank you, Mistress Wu Quebec. Yin Shi nodded at Wu Lingfei. She was very grateful for Wu Lingfei's respectful attitude. Yin Shi knew very well that with the relationship between Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei didn't need to be polite to her at all. However, she still gave her some respect. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, you don't need to be polite. I'm very happy that you've changed. As a woman, there's no need to make things difficult for a woman. Wu Lingfei nodded at Yin Shi. Thank you. Yin Shi nodded. At this moment, she really admired Wu Lingfei's magnanimity. Let's go do business first. We'll find a place to drink tea when we come back. Night Sorrow said. Wu Lingfei could accept Yin Shi's existence and even gave her respect. This was what he wanted to see. In addition, he was also very satisfied with Yin Shi's attitude. Night Sorrow and the other 2 who were wearing masks and veils, were teleported to the Red Leaf Imperial City. Then, under Wu Lingfei's lead, the 3 entered the Red Leaf Mountains. This guy is inside. We have to be careful this time. That guy's 100 illusion body is very good at escaping. Wu Lingfei said. I can't control him to use 100 illusion body to escape. When the time comes, I'll use the power of law to suppress him. Mistress Wu Kei can use your special ability to deal with him. She looked at Wu Lingfei and said, let's do it this way. Night Sorrow, you'll stay outside. If there's any illusion body that escapes, you'll attack and entangle it. When he disperses his energy body, the energy will return to his illusion body. If he doesn't disperse, he won't be able to escape. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. He didn't have such experience yet. He just needed to listen to the arrangement. Then, under Wu Lingfei's lead, the three of them went deep into the Red Leaf Mountains. At this moment, in a cave in the Red Leaf Mountains, Thousand Leaves Saint was furious. He originally thought that after cultivating 100 illusion body, he could show off his skills. He didn't expect to be beaten up so badly. 70% of his illusion body was taken away by Wu Lingfei. It was equivalent to having 70% of his cultivation destroyed. If he wanted to cultivate it back, he didn't know how many years it would take. Chapter 784. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? We will provide you with interesting novels to read. Just as Thousand Leaves Sheng was about to go out and take a look, his expression changed. 3 figures flashed by. Wu Lingfei had brought Night Sorrow and Shi to block the entrance. Love, go little, say W, Chu, you guys are really persistent. Are you guys going to kill all of us? Let me tell you, you can't do it. Thousand Leaves Sheng snorted. Master Wu Kei, you block the entrance. I'll go kill them. Shi nodded to Wu Lingfei and rushed into the cave to attack Thousand Leaves Sheng. Before attacking, Shi first used the power of rules to cover the cave. She did this to prevent Thousand Leaves Sheng from breaking the cave and escaping. Saint-class weapons are indeed powerful, Wu Lingfei said as she looked at the flowing wind sword in Shi's hand. Auntie Fei, you have one too. I just forgot to give it to you. Night Sorrow took out a water-type Saint-class longsword and handed it to Wu Lingfei. Mid-class Saint-class longsword. Where did you get it? Why didn't you give it to me earlier so that I can recuperate? Wu Lingfei patted Night Sorrow's shoulder and said happily. Night Sorrow smiled embarrassedly. He had been too busy recently and had forgotten many things. Wu Lingfei, who had put away the Saint-class longsword, held her old longsword and watched the battle in the cave. She had to block the way and couldn't let Thousand Leaves Sheng escape. If he did, he would be a threat. Qinya Sheng was no match for Shi even when he was at his peak. Now that he had lost 70% of his cultivation, there was no way he could withstand Shi's storm-like attacks. After being stabbed a few times, he used 100 illusions. At this moment, Wu Lingfei waved her left arm and sent Night Sorrow behind her. Her body instantly transformed into her original form. She opened her sparkling beak and drew a whirlpool into the cave. Damn it! Stop. Thousand Leaves Sheng's screams were constantly heard. His weak phantom body couldn't withstand Wu Lingfei's ultimate talent and was absorbed into her talent space. Then the Golden Phoenix let out a cry and turned into a human. She held a storage ring in her hand. Night Sorrow, take it. Wu Lingfei waved her hand at Night Sorrow. Auntie Fei, I already have a lot of resources. Why would I need them? You can just keep them. Night Sorrow said. That's true. You really don't need anything. If you need anything, just tell Auntie Fei. Wu Lingfei thought about it and felt that Night Sorrow's resources were not a problem. It's a good thing that the hidden problem has been solved, she said as she sheathed her long sword. Thank you for your hard work. I'm just a drummer. When we get back to Maple City, we'll treat you two to a feast, said Night Sorrow. When they left Red Leaf Mountain Range, Wu Lingfei asked Night Sorrow about the origin of the mid-grade Saint-class longsword. Night Sorrow told her about his harvest last time. You're amazing. You've gotten so much in just one trip. Wu Lingfei was impressed by Night Sorrow's luck. Many saints didn't have a suitable weapon in their entire lives, but Night Sorrow solved a few people's problems in just one trip. Then the three of them went to Maple City where the atmosphere of war was still strong. Let's go to Taiching City. The atmosphere here is oppressive, said Wu Lingfei. Then the three of them went to a restaurant in Taiching City. After finding a private room, Night Sorrow ordered some dishes and took out 2 jars of wine. Night Sorrow, your problem is almost solved. Now just focus on cultivating. As for Clear Sky City, it'll depend on your luck. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and said. After searching, Night Sorrow told her that he had confirmed Clear Sky City's location in the underworld. This is a chaotic world, but it doesn't concern you alone. Just focus on your cultivation. Don't worry too much, said Wu Lingfei. After eating, Wu Lingfei looked at Yin Shi and then at Night Sorrow. You don't have to worry too much about her. As long as she's fine, Aunt Fei will help you with Chuyu and the others. They won't blame you for this. Thank you, Aunt Fei. I really don't dare to tell them about this. Night Sorrow smiled bitterly. It's okay. Aunt Fei will take care of this for you. Wu Lingfei nodded at Night Sorrow. She knew Night Sorrow very well. She knew that Night Sorrow was under a lot of pressure because he felt guilty towards Sikong Chuyu and the others. However, she knew that Night Sorrow didn't want to do this. Besides, if Yin Shi could correct her shortcomings, it would be good. Yin Shi thanks Lord Wu Kei again. Yin Shi got up and bowed to Wu Lingfei. Wu Lingfei shook her head. She wanted to do this completely for Night Sorrow. She didn't care about Yin Shi's gratitude. After returning to Sky City, Night Sorrow chatted with Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei and Aoi for a while. He also took out the spirit artifacts he prepared for the three of them and entered the secret cultivation room to cultivate. Come with me to the lake. Let's drink tea and chat. Wu Lingfei said to Sikong Chuyu and the others. When they arrived at the wooden boat by the lake, Qing Ji brewed a pot of tea. Aunt Fei, do you have something to tell us? Yang Lei asked with a smile. Yes. This matter is a bit serious. If I don't say it, Night Sorrow is under a lot of pressure. Aunt Fei is afraid of crushing him. Wu Lingfei thought for a while and organized her words. About Night Sorrow, why didn't he say it himself? Sikong Chuyu was a bit puzzled. She felt that in the past Night Sorrow would tell them everything. This matter Night Sorrow really can't say it. It's mainly because he cares too much about you and your feelings. When he told me he was under a lot of pressure. Wu Lingfei said to Sikong Chuyu. Aunt Fei, don't worry. No matter what happens to 13, we will support him. Aoi and Yang Lei looked at each other and said. Seeing Wu Lingfei looking at her, Sikong Chuyu also nodded. Seeing the three girls nod, Wu Lingfei told them about how Father Gu and Yi Shang had been kidnapped by Yin Shi some time ago. Seeing the shocked expressions of the three women, Wu Lingfei sighed. This is also the reason why Father Gu suddenly moved to Sky City. I remember now. That time we didn't see Night Sorrow leave the Realm Sea, but we saw him come in from the outside. When he came back he was a bit strange when he saw Father Gu. Night Sorrow must have been afraid that we would be worried, so he deliberately hid it from us. Aoi recalled the bits and pieces of that time. 500,000. Next is what Aunt Fei wants to say. The situation was very dangerous. He wanted to escape, he wanted to live. It's normal for him to use any means, right? Wu Lingfei looked at the three women. Aunt Fei, just say it. We can understand what happened to Night Sorrow, Yang Lei said. Hearing Yang Lei's words, Wu Lingfei nodded. She knew that Yang Lei had a bad temper. If Yang Lei didn't have a problem, then there was no problem with Yin Shi's matter. Afterward, Wu Lingfei told them about Yin Shi, her recent changes, and her current situation with Night Sorrow. Chapter 785. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Ninth Junior Sister, what do you want Night Sorrow to tell us about this? He didn't want to make us angry. Aoji looked at Yang Lei and said. Aoji looked at Yang Lei and said. It looks like Night Sorrow took advantage of this situation, but he's under a lot of pressure. Let's understand, Sikong Chuyu said. Sai, it's really hard on 13. We're still burdening him. Always sighed. Let's talk to 13 later. Looking at him like this, we are the ones who feel sorry for him. Yang Lei thought for a moment and said. It's good that you've thought it through. Actually, Yin Shi has changed a lot. Her arrogance is gone and she's a lot gentler now. Besides, she's also fought for Night Sorrow. 7-star Saint and 1,000 Leaves Saint were taken care of by her. Wu Lingfei talked about Yin Shi's situation. If she doesn't make things difficult for Night Sorrow, then we won't make things difficult for her. However, it's not appropriate to accept her, Sikong Chuyu said. There's no need to say anything about accepting. Auntie Fei is telling you this not to accept anyone. Auntie Fei just doesn't want Night Sorrow to bear the pressure. It's fine as long as you don't blame him for this. Wu Lingfei said. With Auntie Fei here, the pressure in Night Sorrow's heart will lessen. Auntie Fei, don't worry. As long as Yin Shi doesn't act recklessly, we won't say anything. Oi said. Minur? Fastest square route. Afterwards Wu Lingfei left. She was quite happy to have solved a problem for Night Sorrow. Aoi and the other two sat together and looked at each other silently. If she's obedient, we'll ignore her. If she's not obedient, we'll get 13 to teach her a lesson. Didn't 13 control her soul? She won't be able to jump, Yang Lei said after taking a sip of tea. Aoi and Sikong Chuyu nodded. The three of them were definitely on the same side. When night fell, Night Sorrow came out. He did not need to go into seclusion for long periods of time. At this moment, the servants had already set the table for dinner. Then Night Sorrow and the three girls had dinner with Papa Gu. After Papa Gu left, Night Sorrow drank a cup of tea and went to the lakeside to cultivate. The three girls stood up and followed Night Sorrow to the lakeside. Night Sorrow took out his space splitter spear and wanted to practice his spear art, but he was stopped by Yang Lei. Yes. Auntie Fei told us. Sikong Chiu said. What did he say? Yi Shang, who had been sitting down, stood up and the tea spilled onto his robes. Sit down. Tianyu, go play by the side. Yang Lei pulled Night Sorrow to sit down and waved at Tianyu. Night Sorrow sat there and did not say anything, waiting for the three girls to explode. He knew that Wu Lingfei should have talked to the three girls about Yinshi. Night Sorrow, we know what happened. We don't blame you for this, Sikong Chiu said. Yi Shang was stunned for a moment before he raised his head to look at Sikong Chiu. But you can't not tell us if you have something on. We are husband and wife and will live together for the rest of our lives. Even if you are embarrassed to tell me, you can tell Sixth Senior Sister first. That way you won't have to bear the pressure all the time. Sikong Chiu looked at Night Sorrow. There was no anger in her eyes, only heartache. I'm not wrong in this matter, but I was wrong in the end, Night Sorrow said. Let her out first. Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and said. Then Night Sorrow brought Yin Shi, who had turned black hair and was wearing a light blue dress, out of the space-time pagoda. Seeing Sikong Chiu and the other two girls, Yin Shi cupped her hands and greeted them because she did not know how to address them. Night Sorrow introduced them. Since it's already out, let's sit down and talk. Aoi nodded at Yin Shi and then pulled Night Sorrow to sit beside her. She knew that Night Sorrow was the most embarrassed at this moment. Yin Shi sat in front of the three girls. Night Sorrow is our fiancé. He's our everything. We don't dislike you, but we need him to be safe, Sikong Chiu said. I know and understand. I won't hurt Night Sorrow. If there's a battle, I'll fight with him. As long as I'm alive, I won't let him get hurt, Yin Shi said. That's fine. We're all women. Why do women have to make things difficult for other women? Oi said. She had the most gentle personality. Thank you for your understanding. Yin Shi stood up and cupped her hands at Aoi. You can't always live in the space-time pagoda. Just live in the mansion. If anyone asks, you're Night Sorrow's friend. You became friends with Night Sorrow after holding him hostage, Yang Lei said. Is this appropriate? If not, I can continue to live in the space-time pagoda. I'm already used to it. Yin Shi said. It's fine. It's mainly up to you and Night Sorrow. It's best if no one finds out. That way, whoever schemed against Night Sorrow will be unlucky, Sikong Chiu said. How about this? You can cultivate in the space-time pagoda during the day and come out at night to get some fresh air. You can drink tea and chat with everyone, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Then the girls agreed with Night Sorrow's idea. I can finally breathe a sigh of relief. Yi Shan exhaled and took a big gulp of tea. You've taken advantage of us and you're still relieved? Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and said. It's not easy for me. I'm afraid that you'll be unhappy and unable to accept this fact. Actually, you can try to be friends, Night Sorrow said. Don't worry, I won't hurt you or have any other thoughts. At most, I'll just be Night Sorrow's friend, Yin Shi said. Senior sisters, Chiyu Yin Shi has changed a lot. Yin Shi has the realm and cultivation experience of a 7-star saint. Everyone can talk about it, Night Sorrow said. After saying that, Night Sorrow went to cultivate the spatial crack. He wanted to give the girls some space to talk. After Night Sorrow's body disappeared, Yin Shi apologized to the girls again. Our standpoints were different back then. We can't say who's right and who's wrong. It's mainly about the future, always said. We saw you in front of the spatial tunnel in Dongxiang City. You've changed a lot, Yang Lei looked at Yin Shi and said. People change with the passage of time, Yin Shi said. Then do you still hate Night Sorrow? Sikong Chiu thought for a while and asked. I don't hate him. Today's situation is my own fault. Moreover, my cultivation can be recovered and I can return to my original realm. Moreover, I have a better foundation. Yin Shi looked at Sikong Chiu and shook her head. As long as you don't hate Night Sorrow, everything is fine. Yang Lei glanced at Yin Shi. She was also worried that Yin Shi would hate him. After cultivating the spatial crack, Night Sorrow returned to the wooden boat. Chapter 786. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. That's fine. In that case, let's head back first. We can come out for tea tomorrow. Night Sorrow nodded and put Inshi into the time pagoda. After pondering for a while, Night Sorrow decided not to shut off his soul power. That way Inshi would feel estranged. He guessed that Inshi would also want to know the comments of Sikong Chuyu, Aoi, and Yang Lei. She's really beautiful, and her figure is so good that I can't say anything about it. Her curves should be perky. Our Night Sorrow doesn't just eat everything. Yang Lei said as she looked at Night Sorrow. Ninth senior sister, please don't discourage me. These days my life has been really tiring. I don't know how to explain it to all of you because this is equivalent to betraying all of you. I also don't know how to tell Auntie Faye because I am a little despicable. Night Sorrow spoke of the pressure in his heart. In fact, during this period of time, Night Sorrow had not relaxed at all. I can understand you. Eating in secret and not daring to let others know. No matter how good the meat is, it's not comfortable to eat it, Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. Ninth senior sister, you've led Chuyu astray, Night Sorrow said to Yang Lei as he pulled Sikong Chuyu to his side. 13 If that she doesn't have any evil intentions, then treat her better. Her family has been destroyed and she has lost her freedom. It's not easy for her. Love Gong Little Seikoi said. Night Sorrow nodded. Inshi, who was in the Spacetime Treasure Pagoda, also let out a sigh of relief. She understood that her situation would be much better because Night Sorrow's 3 women were all pretty broad-minded. After drinking some tea, the 4 of them returned to the mansion. Aoi waved at Yang Lei, Sikong Chuyu, and Night Sorrow before returning to her attic. Night Sorrow brought Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu back to the bedroom. Then he sealed his soul energy. He didn't want Inshi to know what was going to happen next. Stingy brat, let me see. What's there to lose? Inshi shouted from within the Space-Time Treasure Pagoda. Ridiculous, Night Sorrow muttered. Who's being ridiculous? Yang Lei pulled Night Sorrow's ear. Don't. Inshi. She's unhappy that I sealed the Space-Time Pagoda and prevented her from sensing the outside world. She wants to know what we're doing. With Yang Lei grabbing his ear, Night Sorrow could only tell the truth. This woman wants to see everything. Even we want to see it. If you have time, you and she can perform for us. Yang Lei shouted at Night Sorrow. That's too shameless. Even a saint would do such a thing? Sikong Chuyu also began to mutter. Now that I've sealed the Space-Time Treasure Pagoda, there's no problem. Night Sorrow bent down and threw Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu onto the big bed. Then he pounced on them. After not being together for a long time, it was inevitable that passion would burn. The 2 girls were also in high spirits. It wasn't until midnight that the 3 of them laid down together to rest. It had been a long time since they were so relaxed. Night Sorrow felt a sense of security in his heart. After resting for a night, Night Sorrow woke up and realized that there were some changes in him. That was that his mind was clear. He also felt that cultivating his spear techniques was very smooth. Did you feel the change? Because there's pressure in your heart and your soul is covered in dust. Yesterday's problem was solved, so I feel a lot more carefree. Wu Lingfei appeared in the courtyard and smiled at Night Sorrow and nodded. See the original A+ Chapter 6C Section U? I do feel refreshed today. It's just that I didn't expect that something in my heart would affect my soul. Night Sorrow lamented. Aunt Faye, actually he underestimated us. Even if he was wrong, it's fine to tell us. Sikong Chuyu, who had laid out the breakfast, came over and said. Wu Lingfei shook her head. Actually, it's not that he underestimated you. It's just that he cared too much about you. He was too worried that you would be angry and unable to accept it. Therefore he bore the pressure himself. Night Sorrow, if there's anything in the future, just say it. If you don't say it, it's easy for something big to happen. Sikong Chuyu said. Night Sorrow nodded. He realized the seriousness of the problem. Doing something shameful would cause one's soul to be covered in dust. It would cause one's path of cultivation to not be smooth. After everyone ate breakfast together, Night Sorrow took his spear and went to the lake to cultivate. Yang Lei, Aoi, and Sikong Chuyu all admitted their mistakes to Wu Lingfei. They knew that although it wasn't their intention, it did give Night Sorrow a lot of pressure. Wu Lingfei smiled and let everyone talk more. She let Night Sorrow say anything. Night Sorrow went to the lake to cultivate a spatial fissure. Then he entered the Spacetime Pagoda. Are you planning to suffocate me to death? Aren't you going to let me see the situation outside? At most, I won't look at you and your fiancé. Inshi said. Night Sorrow smiled and released his soul power. Finally, he asked about the conversation yesterday. Your 3 fiancés are really good. They are as beautiful as flowers and have graceful figures. Most importantly, they have a high temperament and a broad mind. She said. She had a good impression of Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei and Aoi. The three of them didn't make things difficult for her. When everyone is together, you have to be more tolerant. Communicate with them more and lower your attitude. They are still young. You have more life experience than them. Night Sorrow looked at Shi and said, "What do you mean? You eat it again and then say it doesn't taste good. Are you saying that I'm old?" Shi looked at Night Sorrow and said. Her eyes were filled with unhappiness. "That's not what I meant. Cultivators have a long lifespan. Age doesn't matter. What I meant was that you are more mature than them. You are fine. I respect you." Night Sorrow looked at Shi and said. He felt that women were very sensitive and should be careful with their words. "That's good. If you are like this, I will be willing to do whatever position you want me to do in the future. You know what I mean?" She said with a smile. "All right. You win. I want to recover my cultivation." Night Sorrow nodded at Shi. Night Sorrow was happy. Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei and Aoi's problems were solved. Shi would also make some efforts. Things were going in a good direction. Shi's unhappiness was fake. In fact, it was just a joke. After recovering, Night Sorrow came out of the space-time treasure pagoda and saw Sikong Chuyu and the other two. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow also transferred Shi out of the space-time treasure pagoda. After transferring Shi out, Night Sorrow immediately used the space-time treasure pagoda and began to cultivate his innate skill. He mainly wanted to avoid the awkward situation. "Why are you running? The problem has been solved. Everyone just needs to face it. This attitude is not good," Yang Lei said. "He is shy. When he doesn't want to face some things, he chose this method. Maybe the rest will be our interaction." Shi nodded at Yang Lei. "Sit down and drink tea. Don't let him see you standing here while we are drinking tea and think that we are making you angry." Yang Lei pointed at the chair and said. Chapter 787. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. You guys chat, I'm going to meditate and cultivate. Love go little say, chew with a flash. Night Sorrow entered the space-time pagoda. Right now he was too embarrassed to face this situation. "This guy is still embarrassed," Yang Lei said after taking a sip of tea. "He's good in other aspects. Whether it's battle experience or dealing with things, he's very experienced. It's just that he's a little reserved when it comes to men and women," Jingji said. She had personally experienced it because if she didn't do something, if she didn't take the initiative, Yishan would never take the initiative to do something. "Yes. When we went to the ice snow mountain in the Far East ice field, I was injured. He saw what he should see and what he shouldn't see. He didn't take the initiative at all. This should be because Chuyu taught him well," Yang Lei said with a smile as she looked at Sikong Chuyu. "That's because he didn't keep an eye on her. He ate 9th senior sister and then 6th senior sister. This one didn't escape," Sikong Chuyu said as he looked at Shi. "This wasn't his intention. I was possessed and did some things that I can't accept even now. I apologize for this once again. I wasn't like this in the past," Shi said. "Love go little say, chew, if you can say that then let's not talk about the past. Night Sorrow respects you and so will we. You're older so I'll call you Sister Shi." Yang Lei cupped her hands at Shi. Sikong Chuyu and Qingji also stood up. They both agreed with Yang Lei's words. It was rare for a saint to admit her mistake like this. The most important thing was that everyone could coexist peacefully. Yishan would only feel awkward if he was in the middle. "Don't call me Sister Shi. The Silver Devil clan's surname is Shui. My real name is Shueshi. The name Shi will vanish into thin air in the future. There will be no more Shi," Shi said to Sikong Chuyu and the others. "She should be called Shueshi." Shueshi was planning to give up everything the Silver Dusk Saint had and start anew. "That's a good thing. Tianyu, catch some fish for 9th senior sister. Let's grill fish and drink wine." Yang Lei shouted at Tianyu who was cultivating on the ground. This wasn't Yang Lei using Night Sorrow's power to do things. Tianyu had a good relationship with the three girls. Sikong Chuyu and the three girls all treated Tianyu as a younger brother so they were very casual. "I'll be done soon," Tianyu replied and his body flashed as he went to catch fish in the lake. When the girls finished grilling the fish, Night Sorrow came out of the space-time pagoda. When Night Sorrow was about to cultivate again, he was caught by Yang Lei. "Come and eat grilled fish and drink wine. There's something else I want to tell you." Then Yang Lei told him about Shueshi's decision. "Congratulations, your new life has begun. Here you are, everyone's friend Shueshi. Night Sorrow stretched out his hand to Shueshi very seriously. Kung Fu. Seeing Night Sorrow stretch out his hand, Shueshi also stretched out her hand very seriously to shake Night Sorrow's hand. Then, Sister Shueshi doesn't have to hide from anyone in the future because there's only Shueshi in the city in the sky, Sikong Chuyu said. Night Sorrow shook his head and said, that might not be enough. Senior Xielanjun and the others can still recognize him through his aura. It's just that he has changed his hair color. He won't be able to hide from the other saints. That's not a problem. I have a cultivation technique called the aura concealing technique. In the past, I disdained to cultivate it. After cultivating it, my energy and aura will change. Additionally, after cultivating the elemental wind body, my aura and energy have changed somewhat, Shueshi said. Alright, I know you don't want to see Senior Xie and the others, and I don't want to see you in an awkward situation. It's best if we don't meet. Yi Shan thought for a moment before replying. That's right, Yi Shan said after thinking for a moment. After eating the roasted fish and drinking some wine, Night Sorrow continued to cultivate the spatial crack technique. When he returned, Sikong Chuyu said, don't cultivate today. Have some tea, chat and rest. Alright, I've been feeling very relaxed recently. Alright, I haven't sorted out the resources I collected yet, Night Sorrow said. Following that, Night Sorrow took out a bunch of storage rings and the resources he had obtained from the Red Leaf Dynasty. Then he began to organize them. The Red Leaf Dynasty had a long history, so its resources were naturally abundant. Night Sorrow took more than 2 hours to organize them. There was no need to talk about the spirit stones. Night Sorrow packed 2 storage rings, and he also sorted out the materials for refining pills and artifacts. Night Sorrow directly gave some attribute crystals to everyone, and Night Sorrow was not stingy with Shueshi. What surprised Night Sorrow was that there were still 2 Void Dao stones. Shueshi's eyes lit up because she needed them. Actually, last time when we talked about soul clones your eyes lit up, but at that time, you needed to deal with the 7-star saint so you couldn't lose your strength, so I didn't give them to you. Night Sorrow took out the bigger one of the Void Dao stones and threw it to Shueshi. Don't worry, it's an eventful time now. I won't lose my strength to cultivate soul clones. In the future, if there's nothing else, I'll go cultivate. Shueshi said happily as she held the Void Dao stone. Your soul force's foundation is not enough, so don't study this for now. Wait until you enter the venerable realm and your soul force liquefies before cultivating. Night Sorrow looked at Sikong Chuyu and the other 2 girls and said, if you have extra Void Dao stones, go ask your parents if they need them. Oi reminded Night Sorrow. Alright, I'll go see my parents later. Actually, without the corresponding cultivation method, the effect of cultivating it is not strong. Night Sorrow said. I have a cultivation method. When they want to cultivate, you can just use the Void Dao stone. At this time, Shueshi decisively stood in the same line as Sikong Chuyu and the other 2. You think you're so great just because you have a cultivation method? My soul clone has reached large success and has 90% of my original body's strength. How much power does your cultivation method have? Night Sorrow looked at Shueshi with disdain. Then I'll also learn your soul clone cultivation method. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Shueshi was stunned for a moment before she quickly said, oh, this involves the inheritance. The cultivation technique I used to cultivate the soul doppelganger was given to me by Auntie Fei. Because of that, Auntie Fei was punished by the backlash of her bloodline. You know what I mean, Yi Shang said apologetically. Understood. Truth be told, my soul doppelganger cultivation technique is also possible. It is the Origin Wind Doppelganger secret technique. Although it contains 70% of the original body's energy after reaching major success, its speed is fast. There is not much difference between it and the original body. However, there is a restriction. Only cultivators with wind or water attributes can practice it. Yang Lei can only practice other soul doppelganger secret techniques, Shueshi said. This matter is still quite far away for us. When the time comes, there might be a suitable cultivation method. Yang Lei said with a smile. Let's not talk about this for now. With enough resources, it's not a problem for you to increase your cultivation. You still have to walk the path of strengthening your attributes. However, you have to pay attention to the problem of a stable foundation. Night Sorrow said to Sikong Chuyu and the other 2. He had just given the 3 of them a lot of attribute crystals. He was afraid that the 3 of them would neglect the problem of their foundation because they had enough resources. Night Sorrow, when are we going to Hao Tian's side to take a look? We can't miss the opportunity there, Shueshi said. Chapter 788. Shueshi nodded. She didn't know much about Night Sorrow's body cultivation. In her impression, Night Sorrow's body cultivation was already at the peak, but Night Sorrow kept improving at this peak. Then Night Sorrow said goodbye to the girls. He was going to go out and see how Night Moon's revenge war was going. The Golden Dragon King's side is not a problem. What they need is rule. As for the Red Leaf Dynasty, it shouldn't be a big problem because they don't have anyone capable of withstanding the attacks of the Night Moon Dynasty. However, as the young master of the Night Moon Dynasty, you should go and take a look, Shueshi said. After arriving at Golden Moon City, Night Sorrow didn't see Yi Linghuan and Yi Wuyo. After chatting with Night God Thunder for a while, Night Sorrow knew that Night Moon's upper echelons were at Red Leaf Imperial City. Night Sorrow then teleported to Red Leaf Imperial City. At this time, Red Leaf Imperial City had been renamed Red Moon City. In the City Lord's mansion, Night Sorrow saw Yi Linghuan and a few emperors. Yi Wuyo and his wife were also there. You ran away after killing the enemy's main combatants. Now you look like you're inspecting. Night God Kwang looked at Night Sorrow and said, #K to the power of 70. God Kwang Emperor, don't make fun of me. I just want to meet with my parents. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Filial piety. Not bad. Night God Kwang nodded. When I'm not busy, I'll go find you. In these 2 wars, Night Moon collected a lot of materials to refine some pills. I'm only an alchemy master. The quality of the pills I refine is not as good as an alchemy master like you. Night God Moon said. Can't an honorable become an alchemy master? Why are you still an alchemy master? Night Sorrow was a little puzzled. He didn't understand Night God Moon's situation. You really don't know much about general knowledge. There are many venerables on the continent, but how many alchemy grandmasters are there? An alchemy grandmaster must be at least an alchemy grandmaster, but an alchemy grandmaster is not necessarily an alchemy grandmaster. This is related to the inheritance of alchemy, Night Sorrow said as she looked at Night Sorrow. This is Night Sorrow. You don't understand. Night Sorrow blushed with shame. He had never thought about this. Because he had Feng Chen's handwritten alchemy manual, he had never considered the issue of alchemy inheritances. After chatting for a while, Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing took Night Sorrow to their temporary residence. I thought that after Night Moon returned, there would be a bloody battle, but after you took the lead, all difficulties were resolved. If I had known earlier, I would have brought your sister out of the Sea of Night Moon so that you and your sister could meet earlier, Yi Wuyo said with a smile. There's no rush. As long as my family is safe, we can meet whenever we want, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Yu Qing also nodded. She agreed with Night Sorrow's words. After that, Night Sorrow took out the crystals and spirit stones he obtained from the Red Leaf Palace and the Red Leaf Dynasty's upper echelon storage rings and gave some to Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing. Father, your main cultivation path is the space element. I don't know about the secondary element, so I gave the holy weapon to Mother last time, Night Sorrow said to Yi Wuyo. There's no difference between giving it to your mother and giving it to me. Besides, I mainly cultivate the space element. As for the light element, it's just a side element. It has nothing to do with the earth element, Yi Wuyo said with a smile. Night Sorrow was stunned. This was the first time he had seen a cultivator with the light element. Don't be surprised. If it weren't for the light element and my strong recovery ability, I wouldn't have survived 20 years ago. Yi Wuyo looked at Night Sorrow and said something that Night Sorrow didn't know. Night Sorrow nodded. He had never seen a light crystal before. He also gave Yi Wuyo a space crystal. Night Sorrow then asked Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing who wanted to cultivate a soul doppelganger. Yi Wuyo shook his head. He didn't want to cultivate this because it was important for him to cultivate the spatial split. Also, he needed to break through to the Saint Realm. During this time he couldn't damage his soul. However, Yu Qing was interested. She was still far from the peak of the Venerable Realm. She could cultivate a soul doppelganger. Night Sorrow then gave the Phantom Dao Stone to Yu Qing. As for cultivation methods, Yu Qing had her own. There was also a soul doppelganger secret method in the inheritance of Beiyu City. Night Sorrow then asked his father if Yi Linghuan wanted to cultivate a soul doppelganger. Night Sorrow, it's good that you have such intentions. However, there are some things that you don't have to worry about. The harvest from this revenge battle is huge. Night Moon will also make up for some rare resources. In addition, your grandfather probably won't cultivate a soul doppelganger because he's the same as me. He wants to maximize the power of the spatial split and spatial slash. He won't easily destroy the integrity of his soul, Yi Wuyo said. After hearing Yi Wuyo's words, Night Sorrow understood that not everyone would choose to cultivate a soul doppelganger. It would be very harmful to the soul. Later, Night Sorrow learned some news from Yi Wuyo. The elders of Taiching City had decided to elect a new city lord and deputy city lord. Yi Linghuan was very likely to be the next city lord because no one in Taiching City could compete with him. Decades ago, Yi Linghuan was known as the Invincible King. Now he was a saint. No one could compare to him in terms of strength and reputation. Yun Tianlong, the monarch of the Yun dynasty, was also a little inferior. There was still some difference between an invincible venerable and a saint. Father, then Taiching City will belong to our Night Moon dynasty. No one will be able to compete with us, Night Sorrow said happily. If Yi Linghuan could become the city lord of Taiching City, Night Moon dynasty would reach the peak in terms of strength and righteousness. Yes, if your grandfather can become the city lord, Night Moon will reach the peak again. Yi Wuyo nodded. After chatting with Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing for a while, Night Sorrow left Maple City and teleported to Taiching City. After exiting Taiching City's teleportation array, Night Sorrow was surprised to see Star Tiger and Sing Lo. Nothing much. Wanna have a drink? Star Tiger greeted Night Sorrow. Sure. Night Sorrow nodded. He admired Star Tiger's magnanimity. Although Seven Star Dynasty had suffered a loss, he didn't look at him as if he was an enemy. After entering the restaurant and ordering, Night Sorrow took out 2 jars of wine. There's not much good wine left, but we can drink it. That means I'm in luck, Star Tiger said with a smile. You brought wine into the restaurant. Can't you afford to drink the restaurant's wine or something? You're Night Moon's young master, a real prince, right? Sing Lo looked at Night Sorrow with disdain. This is good wine. You can't buy it with money. Besides, you don't have to look at me like I'm about to be cut to pieces, right? Actually, I made the decision to reconcile with Seven Star Dynasty, you know? I'm also under pressure, Night Sorrow said to Sing Lo, who had been looking at him coldly. Thank you, Star Tiger. I understand. That's just how my aunt is. Don't mind her. If I really hate you, I'll just take out my weapon, Star Tiger said with a smile. I don't hate you, but I don't really hate you. I'm just angry at you, okay? Sing Lo said as he picked up the wine jar beside Night Sorrow, opened it, and began to pour wine. Night Sorrow was speechless. He used the wine he brought as an excuse and now he wanted to drink his wine. Chapter 789. After drinking 2 jars of wine, Star Tiger told me the main reason for going to Night Moon, Night Sorrow said. Anyway, I'm begging you for this. You can do as you see fit, Star Tiger said as he raised his wine bowl to Night Sorrow. If there's really a marriage alliance, I'll tell my grandfather and arrange for some outstanding and domineering members of Night Moon, Night Sorrow said to Star Tiger. Outstanding is a must. What about domineering? Star Tiger asked Night Sorrow. If you're not domineering, you'll be bullied to death, Night Sorrow glanced at Sing Lo. Star Tiger coughed twice to hide his awkwardness. Night Sorrow's words were like killing someone without spilling blood. Killing people is the least important thing. What you said just now was really good. Sing Lo was so angry that his face turned white. After drinking, Night Sorrow brought Star Tiger and Star Tiger to Night Moon City. Then he found the current person in charge of Night Moon City, Yi Lingxia, and arranged for Star Tiger and Sing Lo to stay. Then he returned to the city in the sky. Night Moon Dynasty recovered really quickly. In the future, Night Moon will be the only dynasty in Taiching region, followed by Yun Dynasty. The future of Seven Star Dynasty is not optimistic, Sing Lo said with a sigh. Night Moon Dynasty and Yun Dynasty have a deep relationship. They didn't participate in Night Moon's revenge this time, but they have been helping Night Moon Dynasty defend their borders. This is a big favor and Night Moon will value it. Besides, the Qingming Dynasty's king has been killed. It's only a matter of time before Night Moon takes them down, Star Tiger said. The undefeated King Yi Linghuan will be the city lord of Taiching City. This is a foregone conclusion. Whether or not our Seven-Star Dynasty can survive will depend on this peace talk, Sing Lo said as he looked at the streets of Night Moon City outside the window. Auntie, you don't have to be against the marriage alliance. Night Moon's core princes and grandsons are all very outstanding, and they have always been monogamous. Of course, that bastard Night Sorrow is an exception, Star Tiger said. In fact, Star Tiger was more optimistic about Night Sorrow, but when he found out that Night Sorrow and Sing Lo were like fire and water, he knew that there was no chance. Therefore he could only settle for the next best thing, which was to let Night Sorrow recommend him. Sing Lo thought for a moment and said, Night Sorrow is really something. The one who defeated the old ancestor was a saintess, and when he attacked the Red Leaves dynasty, he had two saintesses by his side. What kind of situation is this? It's really hard to understand. The situation of Night Moon could be said to have been laid out by him. His opinion has a great influence on the higher-ups of Night Moon. However, seeing his attitude towards you, I think he will put in a good word for the Seven-Star Dynasty. Star Tiger nodded. He should. Let's stay here for a while. When the situation in Night Moon stabilizes, we will inform the family to come over. Star Tiger and Sing Lo then stayed in Night Moon City. They also went to the Night Moon Monument to offer incense. After staying for a few days, Star Tiger and Sing Lo planned to go to Sky City to meet Night Sorrow. However, they encountered a problem. The Night Moon City's teleportation array allowed you to teleport anywhere except the city in the sky. Why can't we teleport to Sky City? Sing Lo asked. When Night Sorrow brought Sing Lo and Star Tiger to Sky City, he explained that it was where he lived. Other than the Night Moon Core token, no one else is allowed to teleport there. This is the order of King Ling Huan and King Ling Xie, Yi Ling Yuan, who was guarding the teleportation array, said. The Night Moon sovereigns who were supposed to go to the islands in the Realm Sea had all returned. Yi Ling Yuan was now in charge of guarding the teleportation array. Sing Lo and Star Tiger looked at each other, then left the teleportation array. Did you see that? Without the Night Moon Core token, you can't even go to where he lives. It's clear that his status in Night Moon is very high, Star Tiger said. That guy sure is arrogant. Sing Lo understood. She and Star Tiger were also core members of the Seven-Star Dynasty, but they were on a completely different level compared to Night Sorrow, who was the core of Night Moon. At this moment, Yi Ling Huan and Yun Tianlong were talking in the palace of Red Moon City. I'm very sorry about what happened back then. This king was in seclusion and couldn't come to your aid in time. Yun Tianlong cupped his hands toward Yi Ling Huan. You're too polite, Monarch Yun. Night Moon will always remember the Yun dynasty's help. It's good that you're here this time. Otherwise, I would have gone to the Yun dynasty as well. Yi Ling Huan said. What's the matter? Feel free to speak, Yun Tianlong said. He knew that Yi Ling Huan was in Red Leaf Imperial City, so he came to visit. The Night Moon dynasty took down the Golden Dragon King dynasty and the Red Leaf dynasty. As for the Seven-Star dynasty, they might be on the verge of reconciliation. I've already killed the Qingming dynasty, so the Yun dynasty can take the remaining territory, Yi Ling Huan said. Chapter 790. Is that appropriate? Yun Tianlong thought for a moment and asked. Of course. Night Moon dynasty will be under a lot of pressure if they take over too much territory. Qingming dynasty is right next to your Yun dynasty. If you take it over, it will be suitable for you to develop, Yi Ling Huan said. That's fine too. However, this king will send the resources after the war to Night Moon City. Night Moon has just returned and you have a large territory under your rule. You will need more resources, Yun Tianlong said. Yi Ling Huan didn't reject this because Night Moon did need resources. Then Yun Tianlong told Yi Ling Huan about Yun Huang and hoped that Yi Ling Huan could take care of him. The two talked for a while and Yun Tianlong left. Since he had reached an agreement with Night Moon, he had to declare war on Qingming dynasty as soon as possible. Yi Ling Huan already had this idea and he had also reached an agreement with the other emperors of Night Moon. The Night Moon dynasty owed the Yun dynasty a favor for guarding the border. Giving the Qingming dynasty to the Yun dynasty was a return of the favor. Night Moon's territory, Golden Dragon King's dynasty and Red Leaf dynasty's territory were already under a lot of pressure. Taking over Qingming dynasty would be a burden. Then Yi Ling Huan brought Night Moon's higher-ups back to Night Moon City and handed Red Moon City to Night God Kuang. Ling Huan, the next step is to reconcile with Seven-Star Dynasty. We don't need to ask for too much, but we must fulfill the original agreement, Yi Xinxian said. Father, don't worry. I will take care of things here, Yi Ling Huan nodded. After knowing that Night Moon's higher-ups had returned to Night Moon City, Star Tiger and Sing Lo informed Seven-Star Dynasty's people to come over. This had to be done quickly because it was a matter of attitude. Before meeting the Seven-Star Dynasty's people, Yi Ling Huan sent someone to invite Night Sorrow to the main hall on Night Moon. Now, under the Night Moon, the main hall had been renovated. It was imposing, solemn, and had an ancient aura. After Night Sorrow arrived, he was originally standing at the entrance of the Grand Hall. This was because the hall was filled with elders. Other than the emperor, there was also a group of princes. Sitting on the main seat was Yi Ling Huan. To his left was Yi Xinxian, who was meditating with his eyes closed. Next to him was Yi Wuyo and his wife. Below them were the emperors and princes. Night Sorrow, sit beside your parents. Yi Xinxian opened his eyes and waved at Yi Shang. This caused Yi Xinyue and the other princes who were originally seated to shift their seats. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards Night Moon's elders. Then he bowed towards Yi Linghuan, Yi Xinxian and his parents before sitting down. In the future, you can wear the king's battle armor for official occasions. Yi Xinxian said to Night Sorrow. Isn't that for battle? Night Sorrow asked in a low voice. You silly boy, what don't you know? The direct descendants all wear the king's battle armor or king's battle robes in official occasions. Look at your parents. Yi Xinyue pointed at Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing. Night Moon's members were divided into men and women. When necessary, the men would wear the king's battle armor and the women would wear the king's battle robes. At this moment, Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing were wearing the king's battle armor and king's battle robes respectively. Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing smiled and nodded towards Night Sorrow. After a while, the Seven-Star Saint led the Seven-Star Dynasty's higher-ups into the main hall. After the two sides greeted each other, the Seven-Star Saint led the people to their seats. Then they entered the main topic. Night Moon's former city had already been constructed by the Seven-Star Dynasty. They were just waiting for the Night Moon Dynasty to take it over. Another foreign lord, Star Badian, gave a few storage rings. Inside are all the resources of our Seven-Star Dynasty for the past 5 years. Please accept them. Yi Linghuan gestured for Yi Xinyue to take the storage rings. Then he looked at the Seven-Star Dynasty's people. Then let's pay our respects to the heroes of our Yi clan who died in battle. Then the group of people left the main hall and paid their respects to Night Moon's ancestors who died in battle. After returning to the main hall and sitting down, the Seven-Star Saint proposed an alliance. Original $I. Yi Linghuan nodded and let the Seven-Star Saint finish speaking. The Seven-Star Dynasty promised not to offend the Night Moon Dynasty and was willing to marry the Seven-Star Dynasty's most outstanding princess to Night Moon. Then Sing Lo stood up and bowed to Night Moon's ancestors. Night Sorrow, what do you think? Yi Linghuan looked at Night Sorrow. War itself is painful. This bitter result can be said to be the wrong decision made by the ancestors. This should not be borne by the descendants and should not be sacrificed by the descendants. Children are in the hearts of their parents. As an elder, no one wants to see the younger generation unhappy. Night Sorrow stood up and said. Night Sorrow's view is the same as mine. The younger generation needs to be protected and not sacrificed. Of course, if there is someone who is in love with you, then I will support you. Yi Linghuan said. Thank you Linghuan Saint for your magnanimity. Thank you young Master Yi for your magnanimity. Star Badian bowed to Yi Linghuan and cupped his hands to Night Sorrow. He was also very pained to have Sing Lo marry him. Then, as the party that initiated the alliance and reconciliation, the Seven-Star Dynasty was willing to send troops to help Night Moon Dynasty take down the Qingming Dynasty. Then Yi Linghuan mentioned the cooperation with the Yun Dynasty. Seeing the worried faces of the Seven-Star Dynasty's people, Yi Linghuan smiled and said, the Yun Tianlong Emperor is not a war maniac. He will not attack your Seven-Star Dynasty. In the future, the most important thing is for the Taiqing region to unite against the outside world. Star Badian understands. Our Seven-Star Dynasty also supports Linghuan Saint as the city lord of Taiqing City. This way the Taiqing region can unite and become the #1 region of the 9 regions again. Star Badian cupped his hands and said. Then Yi Linghuan asked the Seven-Star Dynasty's people to stay as guests. Then they had some ordinary conversations. Night Sorrow slipped out of Night Moon's hall. Everyone was an elder, so he felt very pressured. Night Sorrow, thank you. Star Tiger followed him out and cupped his hands to Night Sorrow. I also want to thank you. I apologize for my bad attitude towards you in the past. Sing Lo, who came out with Star Tiger, bowed to Night Sorrow. It's nothing. I don't know if you guys participated in the 20-year war, but you definitely weren't the decision makers. So you shouldn't have to bear the consequences. Now that things have come to an end, you guys can stay here and play for a while. Night Sorrow said. I say, what kind of place are you staying at? We wanted to go there a while ago, but this place didn't allow us to teleport. Sing Lo looked at Night Sorrow and asked. It's a newly built town. Currently that's where the people around me are staying. They probably don't want to disturb me because they don't want to teleport. Night Sorrow said. The god-slaying squad that you lead is very powerful. Bring me to meet them when you have time. After all, there are many people from Tianji Tower in that place. We'll definitely have a chance to work together in the future. Star Tiger said to Night Sorrow. Okay, I'll bring you there at 1 o'clock in the evening. Night Sorrow said to Star Tiger. Night Sorrow, I've apologized to you, right? If he can go, why can't I go? Let me tell you that I'm the protector of Tianji Tower. I want to meet the members of Tianji Tower. Can you still refuse? Sing Lo said to Night Sorrow. Just because you're the protector of Tianji Tower, I have to agree? What a joke. Why don't you ask your boss if I can refuse? Night Sorrow laughed. No one in Tianji Tower had ever ordered him around. Chapter 791. What do you mean by this? Sing Lo looked at Night Sorrow and asked. There is a Tianji Tower branch here. Go and ask about their positions. Don't order people around. It's not good. Night Sorrow looked at Sing Lo and said. Hashtag look at the original Z chapter plus W section plus W section plus W section plus W, Star Tiger, a company ant. Sing Lo pulled Star Tiger to the Tianji Tower branch. The person in charge of the Night Moon City Tianji Tower branch was Guan Yun, the protector commander. Because the Night Moon City was very important to the Tianji Tower, he was arranged to be here. After seeing Guan Yun, Sing Lo first bowed. Because Guan Yun was the protector commander, he was of the same rank as Lan Yuxuan and much higher than Sing Lo. After the greeting, Sing Lo asked about Night Sorrow. There are some things that you shouldn't know, but your 7-star dynasty and the Night Moon dynasty have already formed an alliance and are not enemies. In addition, the identity of the young master is not a secret, so there is no harm in telling you. Night Sorrow is currently the young master of our Tianji Tower. Other than the young master, the Grand Elder, and the 2 vice chiefs, everyone else has to obey him. Guan Yun said. Young master. This guy actually got the position of young master. Sing Lo muttered in a low voice. Sing Lo, watch your words. Don't you know what to say and what not to say? Is the young master someone you can insult? Hearing Sing Lo's disrespectful words, Guan Yun was a little angry. I'm sorry, it was a slip of the tongue. Sing Lo quickly bowed and said. She knew what she said was indeed wrong. Then Star Tiger and Sing Lo left. Tianji Tower branch. I admit defeat. No matter how I look at it, I can't suppress him. I'll return to the 7-star dynasty later and work hard to raise my cultivation. Sing Lo sighed. She had always found Night Sorrow an eyesore, not because she was hostile, but because she wanted to vent her anger on Night Sorrow. But now she knew that she had no chance at all. Night Sorrow parted ways with Star Tiger and Sing Lo and was about to head to Sky City when he bumped into Yilingxia. Yilingxia told Night Sorrow that in the future, the transfer array from Night Moon City to the Grand Clarity Domain would be changed. This way the city in the sky would be quieter and safer. Did someone set up a teleportation array? Night Sorrow asked. Yes, our Night Moon's High Wind King is an array master. You don't have to worry about this. Go back and have a good rest. We don't know when something will happen in Haotian City. Yilingxia said. I know. Our Night Clan came out at the right time. This way, even if the heaven-sealing Great Hall appears, my grandfather and Night Moon's Venerable will be able to get a title and be blessed with luck, Night Sorrow said. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow returned to the city in the sky. After Xueshi was released, everyone drank tea together. The Grand Clarity Domain has stabilized and entered a period of stability. As for the loss of strength, it will probably take some time to make up for it, Sikong Chuyu said. In fact, the overall strength of a region is not calculated by the number of experts. It depends on the cohesion. In the past, there were many experts in the Grand Clarity Domain, but once there was a war, only a portion of them would go out to fight. For example, when there was a problem in Dongxiang City, no one else from the Grand Clarity Domain except for Qin Yuan, who died to save face, Yang Lei said. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow went to cultivate and steadily improved his cultivation. When it was time for dinner after cultivation, Yi Wuyo and his wife came with an 11 or 12-year-old little girl. The little girl was very beautiful and her eyes were very bright. At this time she was looking at Night Sorrow. Nianxiao, greet your brother, Yu Qing said to the little girl beside her. Nianxiao greets brother. The little girl Yi Nianxiao bowed to Night Sorrow. Don't stand on ceremony. Come here and let brother have a look. Night Sorrow was very happy and he directly pulled his little sister to his side. Brother, father and mother said that you don't have it easy. In the future, if anyone bullies you, Nianxiao will help you beat them up, Yi Nianxiao said to Night Sorrow. Okay, I understand. Night Sorrow felt warm inside. This was the feeling of family. Next, Yanxiao greeted her 3 sisters-in-law. Yanxiao, today was too rushed. I didn't prepare a greeting gift. I'll make it up to you tomorrow. Night Sorrow hesitated, unsure of what to give. We didn't prepare anything either. We'll make it up to you tomorrow. Sikong Chuyu and the others also did not know what to give. After all, cultivation resources were not considered a greeting gift. Brother, sisters-in-law, there's no need to stand on ceremony. Didn't brother give us a lot of cultivation resources some time ago? Yin Xiao said with a smile. Night Sorrow then had his little sister sit by his side. After dinner, the family went to the observation deck at the top of the pavilion to chat and drink tea. Yin Xiao had been following Night Sorrow the entire time. She asked Night Sorrow about his past. When she heard the sad parts, tears began to fall. Today our family is reunited. For so many years, Mother didn't dare to think like this. Knowing that you're still alive, Mother thanks the heavens for taking care of our family, Yu Qing said with tears in her eyes. Mother, don't you think I'm doing very well right now? Our family is reunited, Night Sorrow said with a smile. If Big Brother grew up in the family, how could you have 3 fiancées? According to the family rules, Big Brother would at most find a single sister-in-law, Yin Yanxiao said with a smile. That's right. Our Night Moon family doesn't have many direct descendants. But with you here, I reckon that will change, Yu Qing said with a smile. Yu Wuyo did not say anything. If he did, Yu Qing would glare at him again. The family chatted for a long time before returning to rest. This time, Night Sorrow went to Aoi's room. Aoi chatted with Night Sorrow for a while before the two of them went to rest. However, after a short while, Aoi could no longer endure. After all, she had yet to cultivate her body to the pinnacle. Her body was not strong enough to endure Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, why don't you go look for big sister Shueshi? Aoi said to Night Sorrow. Then I'll call her out, Night Sorrow said as he brought Shueshi out of the space-time pagoda. You bastard. Seeing Shueshi appear, Aoi hurriedly pulled the blanket over her body. Night Sorrow, what's the meaning of this? Did you call me out to put out the fire? Shueshi looked at the scene. How could she not see what was going on? Don't tell me you don't understand? Night Sorrow directly pulled Shueshi onto his bed. After spending some time with Aoi and comforting Aoi, Night Sorrow took off Shueshi's skirt and began fighting. At this time, Aoi discovered just how accommodating Night Sorrow was to her. After all, their battle was very intense. Aoi, go to sleep. Don't just watch. Noticing that Qing Ji had been watching her fight with Yi Shang, even Shueshi couldn't stand it and felt a bit embarrassed. Chapter 792. Seeing that Qing Ji's face was as red as water, how could Shueshi not know what was going on? She directly pulled Yi Shang off her body and pushed him onto Qing Ji. As long as Aoi couldn't take it anymore, Shueshi would come to put out the fire. Night Sorrow didn't stop fighting until midnight. He gave his yang energy to Aoi. Aoi cultivated the harmony technique, but she didn't succeed in getting Night Sorrow's yang energy. Then the 3 of them rested together. This kind of communication laid the most solid foundation for getting along well. When everyone got up and washed up, Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu were shocked when they saw the situation. 13, you're good. You can even do this. You're awesome. Yang Lei gave Night Sorrow a thumbs up. Haha. Luckily, let's think about what gift to give my sister. Night Sorrow wiped his face and said, Hee, I have a set of soft armor. It's not bad. You guys can think about it yourselves. Shueshi said with a smile. That's too shameless. Night Sorrow was speechless. I have one too. I have a face-preserving pill. It should be fine. Yang Lei said. Yes, I also have a protective bracelet from Tianji Tower. It can block attacks from beginner supremacies. It's suitable. Sikong Chuyu said. 13th junior brother, what should I do? Aoi was a little anxious. She didn't have any collection. Night Sorrow lowered his head and pondered. He didn't prepare anything either. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow took out his spatial essence iron. He cut it with his reincarnation spear and kept a portion for himself. The rest was given to Aoi. This is spatial essence iron. It can be used to forge spatial attribute weapons. It's more suitable for Nian Xiao. Aoi nodded and accepted it. She didn't need to be polite with Night Sorrow now. Yi Shang took a deep breath. He was worried now. He didn't know what he should give. After pondering for a while, Night Sorrow took out the spiritual jade stone pillar and chopped it into 3 pieces. He then held the reincarnation spear and shook his wrist, carving the lotus throne. This gift is the most attentive. Sikong Chiu opened her mouth and said. As for the other two, they were prepared by Night Sorrow for his parents. Night Sorrow prepared a gift. When it was time for breakfast, Yi Wuyo and his wife brought Yin Yanxiao over. Seeing Xueshi, Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing were both stunned for a moment, because they couldn't see through Xueshi's depth. It was impossible to say that she didn't have any cultivation, because Xueshi's body clearly contained a very strong energy. Father, mother, this is Xueshi, our friend. Night Sorrow introduced Xueshi to everyone. Starting from Aoi, everyone took out a greeting gift for Yin Yanxiao. Night Sorrow, this isn't appropriate. Yi Wuyo looked at Night Sorrow. It's not inappropriate. We only have one little sister, Night Sorrow said. Big brother, where's your gift? I care about Big Brother's greeting gift the most. Yin Yanxiao pulled Night Sorrow's arm and asked. Big Brother really doesn't know what you need, so I didn't prepare anything. I can only give you a small gift. In the future, if you need anything, even if it's the stars in the sky, Big Brother will help you pluck them, Night Sorrow said as he stroked Yin Yanxiao's hair. Actually, Big Brother's words are the best gift. Yin Yanxiao looked at Night Sorrow with a smile. There's still a small gift. Night Sorrow took out the spiritual jade lotus throne he had prepared. Ah, crystal lotus throne. I really like it. Yin Yanxiao said as she looked at the spiritual jade lotus throne. The spiritual jade lotus throne contained rich life energy. It was as beautiful as a crystal. It's good that you like it. In the future you can meditate on it. It'll be good for your body, said Night Sorrow with a smile. I really like it. This is a newly carved one. Did Big Brother carve it? Yin Yanxiao looked at Night Sorrow with a smile. I just finished it a while ago. Look, that's just a pile of rubble. Night Sorrow pointed at the rubble of the spiritual jade lotus throne. Following that, Night Sorrow gave each of his parents a spiritual jade lotus throne. I've made you spend money again. Yu Qing smiled. Night Sorrow smiled and shook his head. He liked spending money like this. In the past, even if he had good things, he wouldn't be able to give them to his parents. That was truly regretful. After eating breakfast, they went to the lakeside. While the group of women drank tea and chatted, Night Sorrow and Yi Wuyo took a walk by the lakeside. Yi Wuyo told Night Sorrow that once the night moon stabilized, he would return to his family's land in the Night Moon Sea and continue comprehending the power of laws. Now that he was a half-step sage, he wanted to break through to the sage realm. Once the Night Moon had 2 sages, it would become a true colossus. At the same time, he asked if Night Sorrow would return. Night Sorrow shook his head. He said that he would wait around Clear Sky City. When the energy storm weakened, he would enter Clear Sky City ahead of time. This is the era of great competition. If there's an opportunity, you have to fight for it. This is your father's communication crystal. If you can enter, crush the crystal and your father will rush over, said Yi Wuyo. Square root comma. And only YKO genuine MB he even GH, plus is the stolen M version. Then Yi Wuyo asked about Xueshi's situation. Night Sorrow hesitated for a moment. Father, just treat her as my friend. There are some things that are inconvenient to say. If you say it, it will hurt her face. Father, you know that she is very strong and won't hurt us. You've been out there for a long time and have a lot of experience, so I believe that you can handle some things well. Also, you have to remember that you're no longer a child without a family. If anyone bullies you, then we can fight back even if we have to die in battle. Yi Wuyo said. During this period of time he learned a lot. He also knew that Night Sorrow had been despised because of his family background. This was the saddest thing in his heart because he didn't stand behind his son when he needed him the most. Thank you, Father. Night Sorrow bowed to Yi Wuyo. Father cultivates the way of a gentleman, but I also have the anger of a gentleman. In addition, the 2 people who died protecting you back then were my 2 guards. When you have time, bring me and your mother to pay our respects. They were good people, said Yi Wuyo. Who were the ones who tried to kill us back then? Even if the war is over, I will take revenge, said Night Sorrow. It's already over. After conquering the Red Leaf Dynasty, your grandfather and I went to the Green Ming Dynasty. Your grandfather killed the king of the Green Ming Dynasty, so I killed the enemies back then. The enemies who tried to kill your mother and father are no longer alive in this world, said Yi Wuyo. This can be considered as an explanation for the 2 senior guards. Night Sorrow nodded. The father and son strolled around the lake for a while, then returned to the wooden boat. Qing, we have to pay our respects to the 2 brothers from the side family. Without them, Night Sorrow wouldn't have come back to us, Yi Wuyo said to Yu Qing. Of course, we should also thank the Medicine Valley. It was the Medicine Valley that nurtured Night Sorrow so well, said Yuqing. Chapter 793. Everyone agreed with this suggestion. Night Sorrow called out to Father Gu, and the group left the city in the sky. After a few teleportations they arrived at Dongshan City. This is the Dongshan Domain. Domain Lord Wu has really governed it well. It's quiet and peaceful. It's a big city without gunpowder, Yuqing said as she looked at the Dongshan Domain. After taking a look at Dongshan City, the group continued to teleport. Yuweo wanted to see the place where Night Sorrow had lived since he was young. After 2 teleportations the group arrived at Bamboo Garden City and then Bamboo Garden Town. In Father Gu's courtyard, Uncle Nyo was trimming the deformed bamboos. Night Sorrow, Father Gu, you're back. Take care of the guests first. I'll come and drink with you guys later. Uncle Nyo ignored Night Sorrow's urging and left the courtyard. Yuqing entered the courtyard and saw the wooden horse that had been baptized by the flames of war. This is my toy when I was young. Last time, Jiyu's family came to burn Bamboo Garden Village and destroyed it. Father Gu refused to throw it away because this is also my home. He was afraid that I would forget what home looked like if I stayed outside for too long, Night Sorrow said. Reaching out to touch the wooden horse, Yuqing cried again. She knew that Father Gu and Night Sorrow had lived a tough life, but Father Gu was sincerely good to her child. Yuqing bowed to Father Gu again before she calmed down. Back then this was just a small village. It took many days to get to the nearest town, so life was tough. Night Sorrow didn't have a good childhood, Father Gu said apologetically. Brother, don't say that. We're sincerely grateful to you. If it weren't for you we might not have seen our child again. Yuweo also cupped his hands at Father Gu. Then Father Gu led everyone to the graves of the 2 Yi guards. There were fruits and incense in front of the graves. The incense hadn't been extinguished. People often offer incense here, Yuweo asked after everyone offered incense. This place is no longer as dilapidated and difficult as it was a few years ago. In the past few years, everyone in Bamboo Garden Village made a living in the mouths of beasts. People often died in the mouths of beasts and were often attacked by demonic beasts. Night Sorrow left this place because he wanted to join the Medicine Valley and receive the protection of this place. Night Sorrow did it. This village turned into a small town and then from a small town to a city. Everyone is grateful to Night Sorrow, so everyone will consciously come to pay their respects to the 2 heroes of the Night Sorrow, explained Papa Gu. Brother, you risked your lives to protect my son. Yuweo will remember this. You are the glory of Night Moon. Yuweo bowed again. Then he put the 2 tombstones together and engraved the name of his guard. From now on, it was no longer a nameless tombstone. Because the bamboo building was small, everyone stayed in the inn in town. The inn was owned by the woman Night Sorrow had saved from the bandits. When she saw Night Sorrow, she bowed and addressed him as young master. Yi Sorrow, other people are grateful to you. This is good karma. If the power of good karma is small, it might not be obvious. But when there is great karma, the light of good karma will be added to your body, making your future even brighter, Yi Wuyo said. Night Sorrow didn't understand because he had never heard of it. Then Yi Wuyo explained the concept of the power of virtue to him. Merit and karmic luck complemented each other. The more merit one had, the better their karmic luck would be. Furthermore, Yi Wuyo was certain that Night Sorrow already had karmic luck on his body. Cultivators walk different paths. Some cultivate the Tao of inaction while others cultivate the Tao of hegemony. Father believes in the Tao of nobility, which is to cultivate one's character and virtue. Naturally, I have comprehended it. I can't sense your karmic luck elsewhere, but I can in the Eastern Xian region. It should be said that you have done a great deed for the Eastern Xian region, said Yi Wuyo. Could it be because I entered that alternate space several times to fight for the Eastern Xian region and the other 9 regions? Night Sorrow pondered for a moment. The karmic luck of the 9 regions is very difficult to obtain because the laws of the 9 regions are incomplete. Naturally, it can't form karmic luck. Based on your current situation, the Eastern Xian region has an essence core. That's why it can produce karmic luck, explained Yi Wuyo to Night Sorrow. V cool C forever. Free for a long time XVH little x. Speako. Hearing Yi Wuyo's explanation, Night Sorrow understood a bit. The Eastern Xian region did indeed have its own independent law. While they were talking, Yang Lei flashed out and stood in front of a young man. Her long sword was pointed at the young man's throat. Qinshin, you really deserve to die. You actually betrayed Father Gu and Night Sorrow. Today I'll have you die, said Yang Lei furiously. Ninth senior sister, forget it. Night Sorrow walked out of the inn and arrived in front of Yang Lei. He looked at Qin Qin, who seemed to have experienced a lot. Night Sorrow, I don't appreciate your kindness. Qin Qin looked at Night Sorrow and said, I don't need your kindness. I don't need you to be grateful. You should have had a different path and a different life. You chose this path yourself. I'm sparing your life for no other reason than the fact that you once called Father Gu father, and foster father, and elder brother. In the future you'll have a good ending if you behave yourself. If you have any devious thoughts, you know what will happen. Yi Shang pulled Yang Lei back into the inn. After Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing asked, Night Sorrow told them some of the disputes between him and Qin Qin. Night Sorrow also said that Qin Qin was watched by the disciples of the Medicine Valley, so there was no possibility of him causing trouble. In addition, there were people in Tianji Tower who were watching him. Besides, he was a person with a broken dantian, so no one would take advantage of him. After staying in Zhuyuan City for 2 days, Night Sorrow and the others arrived at the Medicine Valley. The Medicine Valley was already prepared. When Night Sorrow arrived in Zhuyuan City, they sent a message to the Medicine Valley. The Medicine Valley attached great importance to this matter because Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing were the prince and consort of Night Moon. They were currently important figures in the Taiqing domain. In addition, Night Sorrow's return to the Medicine Valley was also a major event. In front of Danding Square, the 3 venerables of the Medicine Valley welcomed them together with the Peak Master of the Medicine Valley. After the 2 sides greeted each other politely, they entered the main hall. Yi Wuyo is very grateful to Valley Master Lu for educating Night Sorrow. After entering the main hall, Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing cupped their hands and thanked you Yang Yu. You two are too polite. Night Sorrow is the pride of the Medicine Valley. Most of the Medicine Valley's current situation and status were earned by Night Sorrow. Yang cupped his hands and returned the salute. Then Yi Wuyo made a promise that as long as the Medicine Valley needed it, the Night Moon dynasty would definitely help. Wuyo City would also support them to the end. Yi Wuyo was the successor of Night Moon. He could represent the Night Moon dynasty. In addition, he was the governor of Wuyo City and had his own forces. After Yang invited Night Moon and the others to a banquet, Night Sorrow took his parents to the bamboo forest peak of Taishan Peak to rest. After making arrangements for his parents, Night Sorrow went to Danding Cliff alone. He wanted to communicate with the 8-Dragon Cauldron. At this time, the higher-ups of the Medicine Valley were still chatting in the Danding main hall. Middle-level venerables. Night Sorrow is now the most powerful person in the Medicine Valley. It's a pity that he can't inherit the position of the Valley Master. The Great Elder sighed. Chapter 794. The Grand Elder nodded. The Medicine Valley was now a first-rate force in the eastern Xian region. It could be said that no other sect could compete or even dare to compete with them. This was because the Medicine Valley had produced Yi Shang, who had a high status in the Celestial Terminus Tower and the eastern Xian Royal City. If any force dared to touch the Medicine Valley, they would not be able to pass the tests of Dongxian Royal City and Tianji Tower. Haha, I remember the disciple recruitment ceremony that year very clearly. The threshold was set at the 4th level of Qi refinement. Night Sorrow was at the 3rd level of Qi refinement back then. If the Valley Master and I hadn't given him a chance, the Medicine Valley wouldn't be where it is today, Yen Beiji said with a sigh. Don't take credit for it. It was Night Sorrow who worked hard, Yi Xiling said as she glanced at Yen Beiji. At that time I saw the unwillingness in his eyes, so I planned to give him a chance. There is an old saying that giving others a chance is giving yourself a chance. Night Sorrow seized the opportunity and so did the Medicine Valley, Yang said. Prince Wuyo's cultivation is even more unfathomable, Duanlei said. He is a half-saint who has mastered the power of space. Of course he is strong. Night Sorrow's battle record is also very terrifying. Yi Xiling, who often went out, was very well informed about some news. Then she said some of what she knew. Night Sorrow can kill intermediate saints, but we are still here asking questions. It's really embarrassing. We have to work harder, Duanlei said. Yishang greeted Elder Su when he arrived at Pill Tripod Cliff. Then he stepped onto the cliff wall and ascended. This made the other disciples of the Medicine Valley very surprised. At the same time they also knew who this person was. In the Medicine Valley, there was only one person who could step on Danding Cliff like this, and that was Night Sorrow, the deputy head of the Medicine Valley. He was the sign of the Medicine Valley and also the glory of the Medicine Valley. Arriving at the 8-Dragon Cauldron, Night Sorrow took out a jar of wine and sat down cross-legged. The 8-dragon cauldron circled and landed in front of Night Sorrow. However, there was another shadow spinning in the air, which was its secondary body. You're still holding on. You're not willing to fly up. You're a mid-level venerable. You're improving very quickly. The 8-dragon cauldron's voice rang out in front of Night Sorrow. This time I came to Medicine Valley with my family to have a look. I also came to see you. My soul doppelganger is a little slow in nurturing. It still needs some time. Once my soul doppelganger is fully nurtured, I will come and take you away, said Night Sorrow. Soul doppelganger is a little weak. Fortunately, defense is my strength, said the 8-dragon cauldron. It shouldn't be weak. I'm cultivating a special soul doppelganger. When it's fully nurtured, it will have 90% of the strength of the original body, said Night Sorrow. That's great. In addition, I'll give you some medicine spirit energy. Try to nurture your soul doppelganger with it. In the future, your soul doppelganger will have a super strong recovery ability. After saying that, the 8-dragon cauldron released another ray of medicine spirit energy. After chatting with the 8-dragon cauldron for a while, Night Sorrow left Pill Cauldron Cliff and returned to Bamboo Forest Peak. Don't tell me you went to chat with the 8-dragon cauldron? Asked Aoi as she looked at Night Sorrow with a smile. 6th senior sister, you're right. Since I'm back, I should visit it and communicate with it more, said Night Sorrow with a smile. Permanent i.e. free TN fee to see oh small b, what's the 8-dragon cauldron? Asked Yu Qing in confusion. Then Night Sorrow told his parents and Shueshi about the 8-dragon cauldron. Middle grade holy treasure. Son, you're really good. You have 2 high-grade spiritual spears behind you, and you have the holy treasure spacetime pagoda in your body. There are still holy treasures waiting for you to use. Others don't even dare to think about it, said Yu Qing happily. As a mother, she wanted her child to be successful. Many people attended the banquet. The higher-ups of Medicine Valley and the disciples of Taishan Peak were all present. After the guests and the host enjoyed themselves, Night Sorrow sent his parents to rest and chatted with Jianghu for a while. Master's ability is limited. I can't help you much. However, if you have any questions, you can come back to me at any time. Master, I came back this time with some resources for you. You have the fire attribute. These are fire attribute crystals and fire attribute source stones. Night Sorrow took out 10 fire attribute crystals and the source stone that he had lent to Guoxiao and Lutrin Swan. This is too precious. Seeing the fire attribute source stones and fire attribute crystals that Night Sorrow took out, Jianghu said with some surprise. It's nothing. Master, you can keep them. These are wind attribute and thunder attribute crystals. You can give them to the first elder and Elder Hua. Because my 2 senior sisters also need these 2 things, I can only take out a few of them, Night Sorrow said with a smile. It's good to have them. Who would complain about having too little? Jianghu said with a smile. Jianghu was happy that Night Sorrow missed his 2 senior sisters. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow returned to the Bamboo Forest Peak to rest. After staying in the Medicine Valley for 2 days, Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing were about to leave. Night Moon still had a lot of things to do. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow let Sikong Chuyu, Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing go back first. He still had other things to do. Mainly, he wanted to go to the Supreme Creek space with Shueshi and see if the storm in the area where Haotian City was located had weakened. Yi Wuyo did not ask too much. He knew that his son was now capable of shouldering some things, so there was no need to interfere too much. Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei and Aoi were also relieved. They knew that Shueshi was strong. The 7-star saint and a 5-star saint had been eliminated. The death of Thousand Leaves Saint was also directly related to Shueshi. Under Shueshi's protection, anyone who wanted to touch Night Sorrow was asking for trouble. After sending Yi Wuyo and the others off, Night Sorrow and Shueshi went to the Supreme Creek entrance behind the Medicine Valley. Night Sorrow, thank you. I feel very relaxed now, more relaxed than ever. I don't feel any pressure at all, Shueshi looked at Night Sorrow and said. Weren't you relaxed when we weren't together? Night Sorrow turned to look at Shueshi, who had become much gentler and more elegant. No, back then it was very tiring to think about how to suppress others and scheme against each other. After being cheated by you, I was always worried about losing face and dignity. But now, I don't have any of these worries. Palace Master Wu Kei and your mother are very respectful to me. Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei and Qing Ji are also very broad-minded people. Not only did they not look down on me, they also sincerely accepted me. Shueshi said. Actually, this is the situation I want to see the most. I took advantage of you. If you don't live a good life, I will feel bad. If you live a good life, there will be no conflict between us, so I can ignore the control of the soul power, Night Sorrow said. If you want, then torture me. Maybe I will tell the young concubine about us. Shueshi looked at Night Sorrow and said, You're good. Let's go, Night Sorrow said with a smile. He knew that Shueshi was joking. If Yu Qing knew that Shueshi had once tried to squeeze her son dry of his essence blood, she would turn hostile even if she was not a match for her. Chapter 795. With his previous experience, Night Sorrow easily led Shueshi into the Supreme River space. Last time, they had to fight because many nether beasts had gathered at the entrance of the space channel. This time, however, there was no need for that. There were only 1 or 2 nether beasts at the entrance, and Shueshi easily dealt with them. Then Night Sorrow led Shueshi to the teleportation array. After passing through the illusion array, the two of them stood on the teleportation array and started the teleportation. Soon, the two of them were teleported to the area of the spatial storm. After exiting the teleportation array, Night Sorrow looked around and said, Shueshi, the spatial storm has weakened. Back then, our teleportation array was about 300 feet away from the edge of the storm. Now it's about 1,500 feet away. I can see it. If we didn't have the teleportation array as a benchmark, it wouldn't be easy to judge. Now that we have the teleportation array as a benchmark, we can clearly judge the weakening of the spatial storm, said Shueshi. But it's hard to say how long it will take to disperse. According to the map, there are still 200 miles left. It has weakened by more than 1,000 feet in the past few months, so it will take another 2 or 3 years. Night Sorrow calculated and said, There are spatial soul-eating beasts and spatial soul-eating beasts in the spatial storm. It seems your judgment is correct. This is definitely the same spatial storm as the one around Haotian City. Shueshi's soul power was very strong. She had already discovered something without Night Sorrow noticing. The spatial storm here has shrunk a little. I also found that the intensity of the energy storm has weakened a lot. Night Sorrow flashed to the periphery of the storm and observed. Indeed. Let's go back to the Realm Sea and take a look. Then we can judge which side is weakening faster. That way, when it's about time, we'll have a choice and an advantage, said Shueshi to Night Sorrow. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Night Sorrow then flew toward the teleportation array. Can't you wait? How ungentlemanly, said Shueshi unhappily as she caught up with Night Sorrow. You're a saint. How can you lose me? Night Sorrow glanced at Shueshi and then entered the teleportation array. After teleporting to the spatial tunnel in the Medicine Valley region, the two of them did not stop. They immediately returned to the 9 Domains world and teleported to the Pill Tripod Square. After arriving at Haohai City, Shueshi started flying with Night Sorrow. She flew at full speed, which was slightly faster than the airship. Shueshi hugged Night Sorrow's shoulder. How does it feel to fly at full speed? It feels great, especially the fragrance on your body. It smells so good, Night Sorrow said. That's not what you used to say, Shueshi turned to look at Night Sorrow and said. Wasn't I under a lot of pressure? I felt like I was a thief, Night Sorrow said. I can understand. You are calm now, so you can enjoy this feeling in peace, right? Shueshi looked at Night Sorrow and said. In fact, it wasn't just Night Sorrow. Shueshi felt the same way too. The pressure of not being accepted was hard for her to bear. Soon Night Sorrow and Shueshi arrived at the island where Shueshi used to live. The island was occupied, but the two of them didn't care. It was normal for others to come to an unoccupied island. Fortunately, there weren't many people in the area where they used to live, so it didn't affect their cultivation and exploration. After entering the Realm Sea, the two of them arrived at the spatial turbulence. Night Sorrow, your speed has indeed decreased. How do you feel? Shueshi's body flashed, avoiding the spatial turbulence's attacks. At the same time, she looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Yes. According to the current intensity, we can get close to Haotian City first, and it won't be long before we get there, Night Sorrow said. I'm counting on you. My speed is fast, but there are definitely no gaps in the spatial storm. Speed is useless. We need to be able to withstand it and break through the spatial turbulence's blockade, Shueshi said. I understand. What we need to do now is to improve our strength. The stronger the protective energy, the more we can withstand it. Let's go back first. Night Sorrow called out to Shueshi and retreated to the periphery of the spatial storm. Then he brought Shueshi into the Pagoda of Time. Your true chi cultivation is now at the mid-4th rank. If you eat the Dragon Spirit Pill, it'll be a waste of time. Shueshi looked at Night Sorrow and said. I don't plan to quickly improve my true qi cultivation. I want to improve my body's cultivation. It's not too far away, Night Sorrow said. After cultivating for a while, Night Sorrow's myriad Dao tome had reached the late 3rd rank of the soul refinement realm. He wasn't far from the peak of the 3rd rank. Then the two of us should cultivate more. While helping you improve your cultivation, my wind origin body can also improve. Xueshi looked at Night Sorrow and said, I think so too. When you're shy, you're really different. Night Sorrow looked at Xueshi's blushing face. I wasn't shy in the past because I didn't care about anything. Now I'm a little embarrassed, Xueshi said. Then Xueshi turned her hair back to its original silver color. The silver hair with water ripples added a flirtatious aura to her. The two of them were familiar with each other. After enjoying the feeling, the two of them began to cultivate. The two of them focused on Xueshi's cultivation. Night Sorrow only needed to circulate the energy of his myriad Dao tome. After Xueshi's wind origin body entered Night Sorrow's body, it automatically circulated with the energy of his myriad Dao tome. It nourished the energy of Night Sorrow's myriad Dao tome. At the same time, it also nourished Night Sorrow's body. After resting, Xueshi put on a gauze robe and brewed a pot of tea. This is not bad. It's comfortable and it can improve my cultivation, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Translator, Nyoibo Studio Editor, Nyoibo Studio. Yes. That's why many cultivators are researching on dual cultivation methods. However, some people take the evil path in order to improve their cultivation quickly. They use yin to nourish yang or yang to nourish yin. It's an action that harms others to benefit oneself. It's despised by cultivators. Xueshi poured a cup of tea for herself and said, I know. I was almost cheated by you. Night Sorrow muttered softly. Night Sorrow, I didn't want to do it. I was forced to the point of no return. Let's not talk about this. It's really embarrassing. I also paid the price. Xueshi's voice was a little soft. This was a stain in her life. I'm sorry. I won't talk about this in the future. I won't mention what happened between us to anyone else. Hearing Xueshi's soft voice, Night Sorrow suddenly felt a little guilty. It was mainly because Inshi's attitude touched his heart. Who didn't miss it? Xueshi raised her head and looked at Night Sorrow. She knew that Night Sorrow's attitude had changed. He knew how to take care of her. It could be said that he would feel sorry for her in the future. Chapter 796. Night Sorrow hugged Xueshi and nodded. He understood Xueshi's feelings. Xueshi had taken the initiative to give him what she thought was the most precious thing in her heart. It was also a sign of friendship. Do you understand? Xueshi seriously looked into Night Sorrow's eyes. I'm not stupid. We didn't have a good beginning, but we will have a perfect ending. Night Sorrow smiled at Xueshi. You're right. This is a perfect ending for me. Xueshi nodded her head. She was really happy. You're right. To Xueshi, the beginning between her and Night Sorrow was dark and unsightly. But now, not only had she obtained the essence qi she wanted to strengthen herself, she had also obtained Night Sorrow's feelings. Xueshi knew very well how outstanding Yishang was, so she knew that she had profited this time, profited greatly. We'll take our time in the future. I also apologize for my past actions. Night Sorrow moved Xueshi's body and looked at her. You don't have to be like this. Everything you did was because you were forced. It was all because of me. I know that very well. Xueshi looked at Yishang with tears in her eyes. Alright, don't cry. The past is the past. Let's meditate and cultivate, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Xueshi couldn't bear to look back on the past few days. Yishang had also shouldered a huge amount of pressure. He felt guilty towards Sikong Chuyu and the other two, and he felt guilty towards his own conscience. Now that he could face the past, it was also a relief for him. After resting for 2 hours, the two of them continued cultivating in the chaotic streams of space. When they were resting again, Xueshi told Night Sorrow that she had given Jianghu some time crystals. With the full support of the Jianghu family, Jianghu's cultivation base would definitely improve quickly. So she told Night Sorrow to be careful when he saw Jianghu. Hehe, you tricked me again. However, I am not afraid of him. If we meet, let's see who is stronger, Night Sorrow said with a smile. After seeing his parents, Night Moon stood up again. This made Night Sorrow feel relieved. Jianghu could not give him any pressure. I'm sorry. Back then, our standpoints were different. At that time, I was thinking from the perspective of the Qingtian region, so I thought the young people of the Qingtian region would be more outstanding. As for Sumu, I also took him as a disciple from the perspective of the future of the Qingtian region. His temperament is no different from Jianghu's, said Xueshi. It was Yin Shi who helped Jianghu and Sumu. It has nothing to do with you. You are now my friend and my woman, Xueshi. Night Sorrow reminded Xueshi, mainly because he didn't want her to bear the pressure. Yes, there is no Yin Shi in this world. There is only Night Sorrow's friend, Xueshi. If anyone dares to harm Night Sorrow, I will kill him. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, she knew that Night Sorrow was thinking for her. Xueshi also made a decision. That was, no one could ruin her current life and no one could hurt Night Sorrow. Hee, that's right. Let's continue with our cultivation. Night Sorrow looked at Yin Shi and said with a smile. Yin Shi also responded to Night Sorrow with a smile. It was a sweet smile that came from the bottom of her heart. After recovering, Night Sorrow stretched his waist. How do you feel? How far are you from breaking through? But don't worry, the storm is still very strong. Yin Shi looked at Night Sorrow and said, I will try my best. Night Sorrow nodded. When the storm subsides to a certain extent, you will almost break through. Clear Sky City was the #1 city in the 9 regions world in the ancient times. Clear Sky Saint King was also the first Saint King. He suppressed an era. If he left something behind, it would be a heaven-defying opportunity. Xueshi said. Xueshi, what is the highest level you can reach with your cultivation technique? Night Sorrow asked. The peak of the Saint Realm. There is no cultivation technique to enter the Saint King realm. Xueshi explained. Is there a difference between the Saint Realm and the Saint King realm? Night Sorrow asked puzzledly. Above the Saint Realm is the Saint King realm. The Saint King realm is a relatively special realm. It is similar to the false pellet realm between the essence gathering realm and the core condensing realm. The difference is that this is a realm that no cultivator can cross. Once you break through the Saint King realm, you will reach rank 8. Xueshi's general knowledge and experience were countless times better than Night Sorrow's. Rank 8 was the Undying Realm. It was also called the King Realm. However, in the ancient books of the 9 regions world, there were only such records. There was no such cultivator. There is no end to cultivation and effort. Xueshi, let us set out towards this goal. Yishan waved his hand at Xueshi. Xueshi smiled at Night Sorrow. I didn't dare to have such thoughts before, but now I do. Then Night Sorrow thought of something. The Golden Growler's body was not dead, and its soul was not destroyed. The characteristics it showed were that it was not a Saint Realm cultivator. It was similar to the Undying Realm that Xueshi mentioned. However, Night Sorrow did not tell Xueshi. Some things were better kept to himself. If he told others, it would bring pressure to others. Night Sorrow and Xueshi cultivated very hard. They worked hard to enter Haotian City in advance. After cultivating for half a month, Night Sorrow felt that the myriad Tao Tome was on the verge of leveling up. So he greeted Xueshi. I will help you nourish it. You can level up later. This will be better for your foundation. Xueshi looked at Night Sorrow and said, Then I'll have to trouble you. Yishang nodded. After 3 days, Night Sorrow raised the cultivation of the myriad Tao Tome to level 4 of the Spirit Refinement Realm. Not only did his body's defense increase, but his soul power also increased a lot. After leveling up, Night Sorrow stretched his body. The energy in his body moved, making a crackling sound. C7Y chapter on Cool 0-inch. Congratulations, but don't think about going to Haotian City first. Stabilize your cultivation first. Xueshi looked at Night Sorrow and said. Okay, we will always be ahead of others, Yishan said with a smile. Xueshi nodded. She was happy for Night Sorrow because ordinary people at Night Sorrow's age would not be so calm. With Xueshi's help, Night Sorrow, who had stabilized his cultivation for 2 days, decided to continue strengthening his elemental power. The power of Desolates was of the time attribute. When his elemental power was full, his body would be strong. After absorbing another half of the Desolate Stone, the elemental power in the myriad Tao Tome was strengthened to saturation. Night Sorrow strengthened his body again, but this time it was not as painful as last time. After leaving the space-time pagoda, Night Sorrow decided to charge toward Haotian City. Even if he could not resist, he could use the spatial crack to travel. There would be no danger of being destroyed by the spatial turbulence. Xueshi, wait for me here. This time I will fight. No matter what, I have to reach Haotian City. Night Sorrow said to Xueshi, who was beside him. But what if you can't hold on halfway? Xueshi was a little worried about Night Sorrow. Enter the space-time pagoda. Night Sorrow told her his plan. Take me with you. Xueshi nodded. She knew that Night Sorrow had made his decision. In the past, I would take you with me because I was worried. Now, I am very relieved and do not want to take risks with you, Night Sorrow said to Xuexi. Chapter 797. In the past, Night Sorrow would have been worried about Xuexi's situation. He was afraid that she would harm his parents and family. But now he knew that she wouldn't. She was no longer the silver dusk sacred of the past. She was a woman of flesh and blood. You're afraid that you'll implicate me, but I'm not afraid. Xuexi shook her head. But I'm afraid. I've never done anything to betray my heart. This is the only time I've done something like this to you. Now that you've changed, I can also face my heart. If something happens to me, the soul power in your divine pearl will scatter. If nothing happens to me, then we'll always be friends. With that, Night Sorrow drew an arc and entered the realm sea. You bastard. Stop right there. I said I'm not afraid. Xuexi's body flickered as she chased after Night Sorrow. But at this time, Night Sorrow used his spiritual strength to make Xuexi fall onto the beach. Seeing Night Sorrow's figure disappear into the realm sea, Xuexi cried. She knew that Night Sorrow was doing this for her own good. Night Sorrow was worried that he wouldn't be able to come back after entering the realm sea and would implicate her. But Xuexi really wanted to accompany Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow entered the chaotic space and charged forward. The reincarnation spear in his right hand was constantly brandishing, scattering the chaotic space attacking him. After advancing 15 miles, Night Sorrow didn't use a protective barrier. He wanted to conserve as much energy as possible. After advancing for more than 40 miles, Night Sorrow raised his protective barrier. He couldn't use too much of his body's energy as that was the key to his defense. After using the spatial protective chi shield, Night Sorrow slashed forward. After advancing 50 miles, Night Sorrow felt that he had used up a lot of energy. He decisively consumed Life Spirit Elixir and Origin Spirit Elixir to replenish the myriad Dao Tomes and Bloodlines energy. At the same time, he used his Void True Chi to resist the spatial storms. The spatial turbulence storm at Night Sorrow's location was very strong, and he was already under a lot of pressure. At this time, he was only halfway through the journey, and the spatial turbulence ahead was even more violent. Night Sorrow controlled his protective chi cover to slash forward. The reincarnation spear in his hand trembled as he aimed it at the chaotic spatial flow that was charging towards him. As for the spatial soul-devouring beast, Night Sorrow had already ignored it. This was because the spatial soul-devouring beast could not break through his protective barrier, nor could it break through his body. With these two layers of insurance, Night Sorrow was confident that the true threat was the spatial turbulence. After another 20 li, Night Sorrow's energy reserves were almost depleted. At this time, Night Sorrow used the spatial crack and flashed into the spatial crack. Entering the spatial crack, Night Sorrow's figure flashed and entered the space-time treasure pagoda. Then he took out a pile of high-grade spirit stones and threw them into the space. Little Kong, use all your strength to stabilize the space-time treasure pagoda. Don't let the space-time treasure pagoda get swept away by the spatial turbulence. You need to recover quickly. I will control it myself. The consumption is astonishing. Shao Kong reminded Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow consumed the Origin Spirit Elixir and Life Spirit Elixir and started to recover at full speed. He had to race against time as he was worried that Shao Kong would not be able to hold on. Night Sorrow recovered at full speed and only used 15 minutes to recover to his peak state. Through his soul power, Night Sorrow discovered that the spatial turbulence in the spatial crack was no less violent than the spatial storms in the realm sea outside. It was much stronger than the spatial turbulence he encountered when he tore open the space beside the lake in the city in the sky. It corresponded to the outside world. This made Night Sorrow understand why the spatial turbulence he encountered when he tore open the space was stronger. Since this was the case, Night Sorrow felt that there was no need to enter the spatial crack again. It was the same to fight in the spatial turbulence in the realm sea. After exiting the spatial crack, Night Sorrow used his spatial protective chi cover and brandished his reincarnation spear to continue charging forward. This time, Night Sorrow's charge only covered a distance of a dozen miles before exhausting all of his energy. Night Sorrow let Shao Kong sink to the bottom of the realm sea while he started to recover at full speed. Shao Kong shrunk his body so that he could bear less of the impact and consume less energy. Even so, the consumption of high-grade spirit stones was astonishing. Night Sorrow used the Origin Spirit Elixir and Life Spirit Elixir to replenish his energy instantly. This way, Night Sorrow only needed 15 minutes or even less to recover. Every time Night Sorrow rested, Shao Kahn would consume several hundred spirit stones. If it were other cultivators, they would not be able to withstand such consumption. Night Sorrow had entered the alternate space several times and collected a lot of top-grade and high-grade spirit stones. In addition, he had also collected a lot of spirit stones in the Red Leaf Imperial Palace. Therefore he did not care about this consumption. Even if he had to consume 10 top-grade spirit stones each time, Night Sorrow could still withstand it. What he was most worried about, and what he did not want to see the most, was not being able to establish himself in Clear Sky City. Night Sorrow was getting closer and closer to Clear Sky City as he fought against the spatial storm again and again. However, Night Sorrow's speed was reduced to an extreme. Xuexi was very anxious, but she could not see through the spatial turbulence and could not use her soul power to probe. Her soul power would be destroyed once it entered the spatial turbulence. However, she was sure that Night Sorrow was safe because Night Sorrow's soul power was still revolving in her divine pearl. Half a day passed. Night Sorrow had rested more than 20 times and Clear Sky City was getting clearer and clearer in front of him. Kill? Night Sorrow shouted in his heart and continued to attack. Although the consumption was great, Night Sorrow could still bear it. In the evening, Night Sorrow rushed out of the spatial turbulence in the Realm Sea and landed on the land of Clear Sky City. However, the spatial turbulence still existed. Originally, the soul-devouring beasts in the spatial turbulence were only as thick as a thumb. However, the soul-devouring beasts here were as thick as a baby's arm. However, Night Sorrow's 7-star Brilliant Moon Spear's extreme kill could still kill them. Night Sorrow rushed towards the center of Clear Sky City. He felt that the spatial turbulence was much smaller in places with buildings. Most importantly, 7 New Ta Chapter DN Festival. After moving forward with difficulty for a while, Night Sorrow flashed into the Pagoda of Time and Space. Then he controlled the Pagoda of Time and Space and smashed it into the hard ground. Then he flashed into the Pagoda of Time and Space. Night Sorrow, you don't have to worry. Underground, my consumption is almost negligible. Shao Kahn reminded Night Sorrow. After relaxing, Night Sorrow directly sat on the steps of the Pagoda of Time and Space. This day was a desperate day for Night Sorrow. He was racing against time because he didn't know how long it would take and whether he could reach Clear Sky City. Therefore he didn't dare to relax. It's like eating spirit stones. After drinking a mouthful of wine and recovering to his peak state, Night Sorrow murmured in a low voice. Because the consumption was too great, a storage ring with high-grade spirit stones was empty. However, Night Sorrow knew that the consumption wouldn't be much because Shao Kahn could enter the ground. Such a situation made Night Sorrow feel at ease. No matter how strong the spatial turbulence was, he was not afraid because he had a foothold and a place to rest. In other words, he could definitely get close to the heaven-sealing Great Hall. Chapter 798. After completely recovering, Night Sorrow continued to move forward. Currently he could see the towering heaven-sealing hall, but it was very blurry. It was still very far away. The space protective chi shield cut forward, and the nothingness protective chi shield melted forward. Yishang kept getting closer to the center of Haotian City. 2 hours later, Night Sorrow felt a change. The intensity of the spatial turbulence had decreased. This was a good sign. Night Sorrow continued to move forward. After another 2 hours, the spatial turbulence had completely disappeared. At this time night fell. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and smashed the space-time pagoda into the ground. Then he entered the pagoda. Night Sorrow, this place is extraordinary. I feel a suppression. The suppression comes from the center of the city. It's hard to say what's going on. Little Kong communicated with Night Sorrow. The first ancient sacred city. It's hard to predict what's going on. Let's go steadily. If there's danger, I'll use the spatial fissure and directly enter the spatial turbulence. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he began to cultivate. After an intense day of fighting, he was now improving his cultivation and calming his emotions. Inshi's heart also felt more at ease. After a day, Night Sorrow was fine. This meant that the problem was not big. He had survived what he needed to. After resting for a while, Night Sorrow walked out of the space-time pagoda at dawn. Dead City. What entered Yishang's eyes was a ghost town that had been eroded by the passage of time. The buildings were all dilapidated, and the area behind Yishang was empty because everything had been torn apart by the spatial turbulence. Night Sorrow slowly walked forward. Although he knew that there was still a distance to the center of the city, Night Sorrow did not want to fly. He came to Clear Sky City to investigate so he could not miss anything. Night Sorrow walked slowly in the city. The chilly wind in the air made him feel uncomfortable. He felt that the operation of his soul was affected. When he looked up, he found that there were remnant souls in the wind. They were unconscious remnant souls that were growling. After that, Night Sorrow tried to activate his Heavenly Void Pearl. The Heavenly Void Pearl shone with a purple light. It lit up Night Sorrow's godly sea and forced the haze out of his mind. Lingering spirit Night Sorrow knew that these remnant souls were very strong when they were alive, but for some reason they had lost their consciousness. Walking in the city, Night Sorrow saw skeletons and weapons that could no longer be used due to the erosion of time. Night Sorrow knew that these were weapons that were below rank 5. If they were spirit weapons, then they would not have been eroded by time. There were also some broken storage rings and some scattered spirit stones. They had already turned pale and no longer contained any energy. Night Sorrow continued to walk through the city. Looking at the broken tiles, broken beams, and dilapidated skeletons, Night Sorrow's heart was very heavy. All of this told Night Sorrow about the tragedy of the war. After traveling 1,000 miles, Night Sorrow rested. He found that as he moved forward, the traces of the spatial storm were getting smaller and smaller. However, more and more people died in battle. Night Sorrow still did not see any resources. It seemed that there was nothing other than skeletons. He felt that this should not be the case. With so many people dying in battle, it was impossible for there to be no resources. Night Sorrow continued to move forward and investigate. However, the reality was still the same. Some of the weapons looked very domineering, but when he touched them, they turned to dust. This situation made Night Sorrow understand. He felt that the weapons just now were spirit weapons, but their spirit chi had been sucked away. Night Sorrow then began to fly forward. All the weapons and spirit stones' energy had been sucked away. This was definitely not a coincidence. No matter how much he investigated, he would not find anything. Supreme Sky City was just too big. It was 7 or 8 times the size of Sky-Bearing City, Supreme Clarity City, and Dongshin City. Night Sorrow quickly flew for 4 hours before arriving at the center of the city. After landing, Night Sorrow saw an energy barrier emitting light. There were many corpses around the energy barrier. They were like moths flying into a flame. The surroundings were full of skeletons. In the middle of the energy barrier was a large hall that reached the clouds. There were 3 shining words in the hall: Heaven Sealing Hall. Looking at the energy barrier, Night Sorrow did not know what to do. This was because he could feel the power of the energy barrier. After standing in front of the energy barrier and pondering for a while, Night Sorrow circulated the energy of the myriad Tao Tome to protect himself. After that, he propped up the Nihility Protective Chi barrier and reached out to touch the energy barrier. When Night Sorrow's arm touched the energy barrier, the energy on the energy barrier circulated and instantly wrapped around Night Sorrow's body. However, it withdrew a moment later. Night Sorrow did not understand what was going on. This was because that powerful and incomparably terrifying energy barrier did not harm him. Night Sorrow's arm was now within the energy of the energy shield. Then, Night Sorrow took a step forward, and half of his body entered the energy of the energy shield. After sensing it again and confirming that the energy barrier did not harm him, Night Sorrow entered the energy barrier. Then he crossed several meters of energy and entered the energy barrier. Turning around, Night Sorrow looked at the energy barrier that did not have any effect. He was a little dazed. He was sure that this energy barrier was very strong. It would not have any difficulty killing a venerable or even a saint. However, it did not make things difficult for him. Night Sorrow touched the energy barrier again and found that this terrifying energy barrier did not care about him at all. It did not have any intention of responding to him. Young man, the energy barrier was built with the 9 regions origin energy as the foundation. Naturally, it will not harm the people of the 9 regions world. A voice entered Night Sorrow's ears, followed by a sigh. Who is hiding? Come out. Night Sorrow roared with the reincarnation spear in his hand. Fly forward. After flying for 100 miles, you will see me. The voice rang in Night Sorrow's ears again. Night Sorrow calmed down and felt that this voice made sense. This terrifying energy barrier did not harm him, which naturally meant that it recognized him as a person of the 9 regions world. This reason was very reasonable. Then, Night Sorrow flew forward and arrived at the Heaven-Sealing Great Hall in a moment. The Heaven-Sealing Great Hall gave Night Sorrow an oppressive aura. At this moment, Night Sorrow felt that he was very small, like a grain of sand in the vast ocean. He felt like he was looking up at the sky. Night Sorrow circulated the energy of the myriad Tao Tome and straightened his body. He did not like the feeling of being unable to stand straight. At this moment, a figure appeared 30 feet in front of Night Sorrow. It was a middle-aged man in a white robe who was sitting cross-legged. The middle-aged man had shoulder-length hair and his eyes were filled with the vicissitudes of life. At this moment he was sizing up Night Sorrow. Young man of the 9 regions world, not bad. For 10,000 years, I have hoped to meet the people of the 9 regions world. I was also worried about meeting the people of the 9 regions world. Today I still have to face them. The middle-aged man's voice entered Night Sorrow's ears, but his lips did not move. Chapter 799. There's no need to panic or be surprised. What you saw was a soul clone supported by a strand of my soul. There's not much time left, so I'll tell you the details and what you need to do, said the middle-aged man to Night Sorrow. While Night Sorrow was still in a daze, the middle-aged man began to tell him some things that no one knew. The middle-aged man was the Clear Sky Sacred King, who had been the city lord of Clear Sky City 10,000 years ago. However, he had fallen in the Godseal battle. That battle had been particularly tragic, and the flames of war had spread throughout the 9 regions. A peak expert from another world had pierced through the 9 regions world, shattering it. The 9 regions world had been pierced through because that expert had wanted to collect the 9 regions world's origins. The 9 regions world's origins had been shattered into 10 pieces. 9 of them had flown to the 9 continents, while the other had been collected by that expert. The result of the 9 regions world being pierced through was chaotic space. If it wasn't dealt with, the 9 regions world would be swallowed by the chaotic space. At that time, the Central Continent Saint King and Clear Sky Saint King were fighting side by side in Clear Sky City. Together, they used all of their cultivation and used a great method to move Clear Sky City to the area where the 9-domain world was pierced, suppressing the spatial turbulence. After moving Clear Sky City, the Central Plains Sacred King had died, and Clear Sky Sacred King's vitality had been greatly damaged. In order to stabilize the suppression, Clear Sky Sacred King had used his essence blood and spiritual strength to set up the 1000 Derivation Grand Formation to seal the shattered space. At the same time, he had also set up an energy barrier with the 9 regions world's origins as its core. The 9 regions world's origins energy barrier was the core of the 1000 Derivation Grand Formation, the Heaven Sealing Palace. Senior, what do you need me to do? Night Sorrow was filled with admiration for the Clear Sky Sacred King. It could be said that he had fallen to such a state because of the 9 regions world, and only a strand of his soul remained. Clear Sky City has appeared. That means the suppression is no longer stable. We need to stabilize the suppression. We need the 9 regions world's people to work hard, said Clear Sky Sacred King to Night Sorrow. I came here to know about this. This is my destiny. Tell me. As long as I can do something for the 9 regions world, I'll pay any price. Night Sorrow sighed. He knew that if he wanted to stabilize the suppression he would have to pay a huge price. However, as a citizen of the 9 territories he could not avoid it. Is life okay? Clear Sky Saint King's voice entered Night Sorrow's ears. Haha, although I have many regrets and although I feel that life has just begun, since this is my fate I will accept it. Night Sorrow nodded. Haha, with someone like you from the 9 regions, it was worth it for us 3 Saint Kings to fight to the death. Young man, you did not disappoint me, the Clear Sky Saint King said. My abilities are limited. I can't compare to Senior, but I won't run away from what I should do and what I should bear, Night Sorrow said. You won't lose your life. The reason why the 1000 Derivation Great Formation isn't stable is because my soul can't hold on any longer. It's about to disperse. I can't control and protect this great formation anymore. Since you're here you'll replace me. If you give up something you'll gain something. You'll definitely gain something from this decision, said Hao Tian Saint loudly. Clear Sky Saint King then told Night Sorrow that as long as Night Sorrow cultivated a spiritual clone, he could go to the Heaven Sealing Palace to guard it. The downside was that Night Sorrow's spiritual clone would never be able to leave the Heaven Sealing Palace. That was a loss, but the gain was even greater. As long as Night Sorrow's spiritual clone remained in the Heaven Sealing Palace, it would never die. In other words, even if my true body dies, this clone won't die. Night Sorrow was startled. That's right, I can't do that because I'm just a strand of my soul, not a soul clone. But you can do it, and that's not even the most heaven-defying part. The most heaven-defying part is that you left some essence blood for the Heaven Sealing Great Hall to refine with your soul clone. Your soul clone is no different from your original body. It can even be said that if your soul is strong enough, you can cultivate a soul clone. How Tian Saint King's words stunned Yishang. You can do that? Night Sorrow was shocked. That's because there's a limit to cultivating a spiritual clone. Otherwise, you could rely on your true body to continuously cultivate spiritual clones, said Clear Sky Saint King enviously as he looked at Night Sorrow. Then why didn't Senior do that before you died? Asked Night Sorrow. It wasn't in any danger before, so how could it be obedient? Now that it knows the 9 regions are in danger of being destroyed, it knows how to cooperate, said Clear Sky Saint King. You still dare to speak ill of me? It's your incompetence that led to this situation. A mighty voice rang out, shaking Yishan so much that he had to take 2 steps back before he could stabilize himself. Hashtag the Tnet item spirit? Night Sorrow was shocked. No, the Heaven Sealing Palace is a special way for the 9 regions' essences to manifest themselves. Just now, the 9 regions' essences were reprimanding me. But since my soul is about to dissipate, it's fine if I'm reprimanded, said Clear Sky Saint King. I've cultivated a spiritual clone before, but it's still far from forming. I don't know when it'll form. If it's too late, then I can only enter with my true body. If I can't leave, then so be it, said Night Sorrow as he looked at the ice silk bag on his waist. Even if you haven't cultivated it, there's still time. Now do as I say. Take out a container and release some essence blood. Throw the medium that contains your spiritual clone into it. Then you don't have to worry about it, said Clear Sky Saint King to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow took out a spirit jade pillar and cut off a section. Then he waved his reincarnation spear and made a deeper container. Then he slashed his left wrist with the reincarnation spear. Night Sorrow's attack only left a white mark on his left wrist. What is going on with you? Your essence energy has soared into the clouds. Your body is much stronger than my subordinate, the Fist Emperor, Li Feng. Sacred King Clear Sky, who was observing Yishang, noticed that there was something extraordinary about Yishang's body. Yes, I cultivate my body. Night Sorrow held the reincarnation spear and poured all his energy into it. Then he slashed his left wrist again. This time, a wound opened and Night Sorrow's blood flowed into the jade container. At this time, Night Sorrow's blood was red with traces of gold. It was very different from ordinary blood. Even the blood from the 5-clawed pterosaur's heart couldn't be compared to his blood. After a while, a lot of Night Sorrow's blood was stored in the jade container. Looking at his blood, Night Sorrow untied the ice silk bag on his waist. Then he took out the Void Dao stone that contained his spiritual clone and looked at Clear Sky Saint King. Don't hesitate. Quickly put it in, urged Clear Sky Saint King. Night Sorrow nodded and put the Void Dao stone into the jade container. Then he took 2 steps back. Chapter 800. Alright. Even if this king's remnant soul dissipates now, this spatial hole suppression won't be a problem. Now it's up to you, said the Clear Sky Sacred King. You don't need time? Asked Night Sorrow. The Heaven Sealing Hall will help you deal with it. The broken region will also be firmly suppressed. If there's anything else you don't understand, you can ask, said the Clear Sky Sacred King. I want to know who attacked our 9 regions world and what their goal is. Night Sorrow took out a spirit jade stool and sat down. This is a long story and it might be very stressful for you. Take your time to digest it, said the Clear Sky Sacred King. In the vast starry sky there were 3,000 small worlds. Whether they were destroyed or born, they were all fated. Each world was on a different level. The 9 regions world was an ordinary world. Of course, it didn't have the qualifications to be called a world. 7 Look at Z, a chapter P. The 9 regions world was a subsidiary world of the Profound Heaven world. The Profound Heaven world was thousands of times larger than the 9 regions world. The Profound Heaven world had hundreds of subsidiary worlds like the 9 regions world. 50,000 years ago, the 9 regions world had still been a primitive world. Because of a huge battle in the Profound Heaven world, several sects and families had been defeated. The ancestors of those sects and families had broken through the world barrier and come to the 9 regions world to live. But no matter how they developed, they could never catch up to the Profound Heaven world. And the enemies of those sects and families had treated the 9 regions world as a place to raise materials. Every once in a while, they would carry out a massacre and take away the Saint Crystals of the 9 regions world's cultivators, using them as resources to raise their descendants. This period of time was 10,000 years. Every 10,000 years there would be a massacre. The last time the enemy had come, they had discovered that the 9 regions world source was still intact. It was a greater threat to them, so they had sent out even stronger experts to destroy the 9 regions world source. There was a great war 10,000 years ago. That means it won't be long before they start killing again. Night Sorrow's face was filled with shock. Yes, the time is near, but it is hard to say exactly when. Right now, all we can do is stabilize the 9 regions world. If someone with great luck can refine the space origin or the small world's core, they can repair this hole in space. Then, the 9 regions world will have a chance to unite again. However, this is just a theory, Clear Sky Saint King said to Night Sorrow. I entered a minor world and obtained its core, but I was unable to refine it, said Night Sorrow. What did you say? You have the world's origin. The Clear Sky Saint King stood up, his eyes filled with shock. Yes, show me. Night Sorrow roared, and used all his energy to activate his heavenly fate jewel. After this period of hard work, Night Sorrow was just barely able to activate his heavenly fate jewel. Following Night Sorrow's activation, the heavenly fate jewel appeared between his eyebrows. It revolved once before returning to Night Sorrow's divine sea. The void attribute is actually a supreme attribute. There's hope for our 9 regions world. Clear Sky Saint King's body trembled with excitement. Senior, I don't know when I'll be able to refine it, said Night Sorrow. Don't worry. You're a mid-level venerable right now. Once you reach the Saint Realm, you'll definitely be able to refine it. At that time, you'll be able to control a world and fuse it with the heavenly fate jewel. Then you'll be the ruler of the 9 regions world, an existence with supreme law energy. If they want to descend, that's a joke, laughed the Clear Sky Saint King. At this moment, Night Sorrow sensed some spatial fluctuations. Night Sorrow even felt joy. That was the joy of the 9 regions world's origin. Brat, your karmic luck is really domineering. However, being able to pass through a spatial storm with just a mid-level venerable proves your strength, said the Clear Sky Saint King. It really isn't easy to talk about this. Originally, I was planning on coming to Clear Sky City to look for opportunities, to find a cultivation technique inheritance, and to get a title in the Heaven Sealing Palace. Who would have thought I'd meet Senior and learn so much? Said Night Sorrow. If you want an inheritance, I have it. Later, my inheritance will be yours, said the Clear Sky Saint King. I'm really lacking a cultivation technique because my current chi cultivation technique can only reach the saint level. After that, I don't have any more, said Night Sorrow. That's not a problem. My Clear Sky scripture can cultivate chi to the peak of the king realm. However, I don't have a body-tempering inheritance. Back then, my subordinate, the Fist Emperor Li Feng, cultivated the myriad Tao treasured tome. It was a secret tome that caused a storm of blood in the profound heaven world. However, after Li Feng died in battle, the secret tome is no longer available, said the Clear Sky Saint King. I'm currently cultivating the myriad Tao treasured tome. This myriad Tao treasured tome is the inheritance of the Fist Emperor Li Feng, said Night Sorrow in surprise. You're cultivating the myriad Tao treasured tome? That's not right. Back then, Li Feng's cultivation base was higher than yours, but his body wasn't as strong as yours, said the Clear Sky Saint King. Night Sorrow told the Clear Sky Saint King that he had grasped the power of Desolates and that the myriad Tao treasured tome had mutated. The power of Desolates, that's the time attribute. You're truly the embodiment of the myriad Tao's love, said the Clear Sky Saint King as he looked at Night Sorrow. At that moment, Night Sorrow felt a change in his soul doppelganger. The energy it contained was rapidly increasing. He was worried that if he continued to strengthen it, his compatibility with his main body would decrease. Seeing Night Sorrow's frown, the Clear Sky Saint King asked. Night Sorrow told the Clear Sky Saint King about his feelings and worries. After that, the Clear Sky Saint King shook his head. He told Night Sorrow that he had taken his blood essence so that his doppelganger would be no different from his main body in the future. He could even have descendants. The other reason was to increase the compatibility. Therefore, there was no need for Night Sorrow to worry. The Clear Sky Saint King then took out a spatial ring and handed it to Night Sorrow. However, he told Night Sorrow that other than a high-grade saint artifact sword and a cultivation technique inheritance, he didn't have anything else in his collection. It wasn't that the Clear Sky Saint King didn't have anything in his collection. It was just that he had used a special method to absorb all the spiritual chi and energy in Clear Sky City to set up the 9 regions origin energy barrier. This was also the reason why Night Sorrow hadn't been able to find anything in Clear Sky City. I'm very sorry that I didn't leave anything for you. However, it was worth it to leave behind this stable 9 regions origin energy barrier, said the Clear Sky Saint King. Senior, there's still something I don't understand. What's going on with the spatial turbulence outside Clear Sky City? Why does it feel like a formation? Asked Night Sorrow. That's a second seal placed by the enemy. They don't want people from the 9 regions world to come here again. Fortunately, you're here, said the Clear Sky Saint King. Chapter 801. I hope they won't attack so early. If they attack early, our 9 regions world won't be able to hold on. Night Sorrow was a bit worried. Don't worry about winning or losing. So what if we lose once? Our 9 regions world has already lost a few times. Losing again isn't a big deal. The main thing is to win in the end, said the Clear Sky Sage King. But many people will die like this, said Night Sorrow. When you go back, tell everyone you can talk to have a backup plan. Back then, the other 2 Sage Kings and I had a backup plan. You guys should do the same, said the Clear Sky Sage King. The Clear Sky Sage King's next words shocked Night Sorrow. The 3 Sage Kings had opened up 3 different spaces, the Night Moon Sea, the Void Path Sky, and the Central Prefecture. Which senior opened up the Night Moon Sea? Night Sorrow stood up. I opened it up for my family's descendants. Why do you know about the Night Moon Sea? Asked the Clear Sky Sage King. He looked at Night Sorrow. I know about the Night Moon Sea. My name is Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow said his name. Dihaha, your surname is Night. That means you're my descendant. That's great. I'm Yi Qianhua, laughed the Clear Sky Sage King. He was truly happy. Originally, he was very happy that the 9 regions world's people had come here. Now that he knew Night Sorrow was his descendant, he was even happier. Ancestor, do you have no chance of living? Asked Night Sorrow. This is not a matter of opportunity. With the support of the 9 domain world's world origin energy, even a wisp of a remnant soul would not dissipate. Now his lifespan has come to an end, Yi Qianhua said to Yi Shang. Can I use life spirit liquid? Asked Night Sorrow. It's no use. It's not a matter of resources. Resources can solve a problem. With the support of the Heaven Sealing Palace, how can it not be solved? My lifespan is at its limit, sighed Yi Qianhua. Night Sorrow didn't say anything else. He knew that the old ancestor's lifespan was coming to an end, and he felt a little sad. It's nothing. It's very tiring for me to live like this, but it's also a form of relief. To be able to see my descendants before the end of my life is also a very gratifying thing. Tell me about the Yi clan's situation, Yi Qianhua said. Then, Night Sorrow started to talk about what he knew, all the way to the current situation. Night Moon Dynasty Moon Emperor Yi Tian. You're indeed a genius. Tianjin Tower was built by the Saint King of the Void Dao. You are the young master of the Tianji Tower, so you can have some influence. If there is no hope of victory in the battle, let everyone retreat first. Those people are only attacking the high-level cultivators. They are still waiting for the low-level cultivators to grow, so they will ignore them. Yi Qianhua said to Night Sorrow. Because Yi Qianhua was a soul, the 2 of them could only communicate. They couldn't drink or drink. Then Night Sorrow said that he wanted to get a title. You can, but there is no way to cheat. You need to rely on your strength. The Heaven Sealing Hall will set up a test. If you perform well, you will be given a title and receive the power of providence of the 9 zones, Yi Qianhua said to Night Sorrow. After resting for a while, Night Sorrow bowed to Yi Qianhua and walked towards the Heaven Sealing Hall. He knew that this was very important to him. A title recognized by the 9 zones world was very important. With Night Sorrow's arrival, the Heaven Sealing Hall's door opened. Yi Shang turned around to look at Yi Qianhua before walking in. Night Sorrow saw an endless staircase in front of him. He knew that this was the test. Stepping on the stairs, Night Sorrow felt the pressure. Just like at Danding Cliff in the Spacetime Pagoda, the pressure came in waves. However, Night Sorrow was still used to it. He had experienced this kind of test before, whether it was at Danding Cliff or the Spacetime Pagoda. As he walked, Night Sorrow calculated the pressure. After reaching level 400, Night Sorrow realized that the path forward was flat. He was not climbing upwards. Instead, he was moving forward against the pressure. However, as Night Sorrow walked forward for a while, the originally flat path once again appeared with rising steps. Night Sorrow was a little puzzled. He had reached the 400th step, which exceeded the pressure of a level 4 supremacy. There should not be rising steps. However, since the steps appeared, Night Sorrow would continue climbing. Since it was a test and there was only one path, he could only continue climbing. Withstanding the pressure, Night Sorrow continued climbing. With his strong body, Night Sorrow reached the 500th step. Looking at the flat path ahead, Night Sorrow continued forward. After walking for a while, the rising steps appeared again. Night Sorrow took a deep breath and walked up the steps. Since there were steps, he had to go up. This time Night Sorrow felt a lot of pressure. He then put up a protective shield and continued forward. With the Void Chi's protective shield's corrosive power, Night Sorrow was able to continue forward. After successfully climbing the 600th step, Night Sorrow's robe was soaked. At this time, Night Sorrow wanted to take out some origin spiritual liquid to replenish himself. However, he then realized that his storage ring was surrounded by a special energy, and he could no longer communicate with it. Night Sorrow shook his head. He understood. This was because the test did not allow the use of resources. Fortunately, Night Sorrow had his own way, and that was to slowly move forward and recover. Because he did not know what would happen next, it was important to recover his own energy. The pressure on the flat steps was not very strong. Night Sorrow recovered as he moved forward. When Night Sorrow's cultivation had recovered to 70%, the rising steps appeared again. It would be very difficult to get a title. This was Night Sorrow's thought. Looking at the steps in front of him, Night Sorrow took a deep breath. He shouted in his heart and began to climb. After reaching the 30th step, Night Sorrow could no longer hold on. At this time, Night Sorrow used Spatial Rend and slashed forward. The moment he broke through the pressure, Night Sorrow rushed up. After using Spatial Rend, Night Sorrow could rush up 20 steps. Then, the effect of the Spatial Rend would recover under the pressure. Night Sorrow then continued to use Spatial Rend. After 4 Spatial Rends, Night Sorrow reached the top of the 700th step. At this time, Night Sorrow was exhausted. There was no energy in his body. Just when Night Sorrow thought that he would be blown away by the pressure suddenly disappeared. The steps also disappeared. The place he was at had become a space rich in spirit chi. The first stage of the test has been completed. Night Sorrow has successfully passed the 3-level test. The second stage will begin in 2 hours. A voice sounded in Night Sorrow's ears. When Night Sorrow heard the voice, he began to meditate and recover. At this time he felt that he could communicate with the storage ring. However, he did not need to eat resources to recover because the spirit chi here was very rich. Chapter 802. 2 hours later, Night Sorrow had recovered to his peak state. He stood up and prepared to take the second test. The first test is the foundation test. The second test is the soul test. As long as you can last for 8 hours, you pass. If you fall to the ground or faint, you fail. The voice sounded in Night Sorrow's ears. Then the space around Night Sorrow began to change. It turned into a small island with stars above his head. Just as Night Sorrow was observing, a majestic pressure appeared and pressed down on Night Sorrow. Soul pressure. Because this was a test, not an attack, the pressure came slowly. Because of this, the Void Fate Jewel didn't put up any defenses. It could tell what was an attack and what could threaten Yishan's life. Only D equals W, all other QD equals P were pirated. Night Sorrow took out the spiritual jade block and sat down cross-legged. He began to circulate his soul power to resist the pressure. The majestic pressure continued to press down on Night Sorrow's spirit sea. However, Night Sorrow could withstand it. While circulating his soul power to defend, Night Sorrow also placed the energy that was attacking his spirit sea into his spirit sea. As his soul power revolved to defend, it also refined the energy. At this moment, Night Sorrow was not only taking the test, but also cultivating. Night Sorrow sat there steadily. Even if the pressure increased, he did not notice. Night Sorrow was so engrossed in his cultivation that he forgot about the test. The majestic pressure stopped increasing after a certain point. It continued to suppress him. The reason Yishang was able to withstand the pressure from his soul was mainly because he had started cultivating his soul force earlier. Others would only open their divine sea after reaching the 5th stage, but Yishang had already opened his divine sea when he was at the 4th stage. He had already begun cultivating his soul force, and his soul force had long since surpassed his cultivation level. Night Sorrow did not know how much time had passed. He woke up from the spatial turbulence. The second test requires you to skip 3 levels. 2 hours later, the final test will be the test of combat ability. The voice rang out once more. If the clear sky sank King Yi Qianhua had not explained it to Night Sorrow would have thought that it was the voice of the artifact spirit. Now he knew that it was not because the heaven-sealing Great Hall was not a treasure. It was a way to display the 9 regions' origin source. In this second test, Night Sorrow did not expend much energy. Now he was waiting for the arrival of the third test. 2 hours later the space changed again. This place changed into a large martial arts practice field, but the surroundings were like a cage, which meant that there was no way to escape during the battle. There are a total of 9 waves of energy warriors. You only need to defeat 4 waves to obtain a title. However, the more waves you can withstand, the higher your title will be. The voice of the 9 zones' origin appeared in Night Sorrow's ears again. Night Sorrow grabbed the reincarnation spear from his back and walked to the center of the martial arts practice field. Night Sorrow was not afraid of battles. Then an energy warrior appeared in the martial arts practice field. Night Sorrow saw that this was an opponent of the same level as him. While Night Sorrow was observing, this energy warrior charged towards Night Sorrow. He slashed out with his battle saber and the saber aura was very violent. Night Sorrow propped up his protective shield and slashed horizontally to the side. Then, the reincarnation spear shook and executed the 7-star glorious moon spear, attacking the opponent. This energy warrior waved his saber to block, but Night Sorrow's 7-star glorious moon spear was not easy to block. Night Sorrow's spear broke the energy warrior's battle saber and pierced the energy warrior's chest. After being hit by Night Sorrow's spear, this energy warrior dispersed. After a while, 2 energy warriors appeared and charged towards Night Sorrow again. Night Sorrow's protective shield had the ability to cut and was very fast. These 2 energy warriors could not keep up with Night Sorrow's speed and were killed by Night Sorrow in 2 rounds. Night Sorrow had just taken a breather when 4 energy warriors appeared in the martial arts practice field. Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear and started the battle. After a while, the 4 energy warriors fell under Night Sorrow's spear again. However, Night Sorrow also realized that these energy warriors had different attributes, combat skills, body movements, and skills. Then 8 energy warriors appeared and surrounded Night Sorrow again. Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear and started the battle. He had already survived 4 waves and obtained a title. Night Sorrow treated the following battles as training. As the battle continued, Night Sorrow had already forgotten the concept of the previous waves. This was because he was surrounded by energy warriors with different attributes and combat skills. Night Sorrow fought incisively and vividly. They were all at the same level and there was no energy suppression. It was a competition of combat skills. Night Sorrow was not afraid of this. After 2 hours of battle, a dense crowd of energy warriors appeared on the training field. Using his soul power to scan, Night Sorrow discovered that there were a total of 99 level 4 supremacies and 1 level 7 supremacy. This is the last round of the test. It is also a test that has never appeared before. Now I will give you some time to rest. After 1 hour, the last round of the challenge will begin. Of course, you can choose to give up because you have already obtained a title. The voice appeared in Night Sorrow's ears again. I will fight. Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow would not let go of such a chance to train. After sitting down with his legs crossed, Night Sorrow realized that the continuous battles had depleted his vital chi and myriad Tao Tome's energy. His soul power was also exhausted. He was too engrossed in the battle just now and did not pay attention to his own condition. After consuming the Life Soul Liquid and Origin Spiritual Liquid, Night Sorrow held the Soul Crystal in his hand and started to fully recover. After 15 minutes, Night Sorrow had almost recovered. However, Night Sorrow was still meditating and cultivating. At the same time he was organizing his thoughts on how to face the last battle. Night Sorrow knew that such a difficult test would not appear for no reason. There must be a reason for it to appear. If he could get through it, it would only be beneficial for him. After pondering for a while, Night Sorrow stood up. He planned to use all his strength to get through the last round of the test. After displaying the reincarnation spear, Night Sorrow nodded, indicating that the battle could begin. As Night Sorrow nodded, all the energy warriors moved. All of them rushed towards Night Sorrow. The level 7 Honorable Energy Warrior Commander was at the front, holding a long spear in his hand. After one clash, Night Sorrow's body was sent flying. Before Night Sorrow could regain his balance, a battle blade slashed towards Night Sorrow's back. At this moment, Night Sorrow did something that would make anyone dumbfounded. He withdrew his protective shield. The energy warrior's battle blade landed on Night Sorrow's back. After cutting open his robe, it slid to the side. It did not break through Night Sorrow's defense at all. This was the reason why Night Sorrow withdrew his protective shield. He did not want to waste his vital chi. Anyway, a level 4 honorable energy warrior would not be able to break through his body. There was no need to waste his vital chi. Chapter 803. Night Sorrow did not care about the level 4 supremacy's attacks. He focused all his efforts on the level 7 supremacy energy warrior commander. The 7 stars glorious moon spear and hand of desolation continued to bombard the level 7 supremacy energy warrior commander. At this moment, the level 4 supremacy energy warriors were no longer the level 4 supremacy energy warrior commander's assistants. Instead, they were his burdens. They were constantly blocking his path of movement and had endured too many of Night Sorrow's attacks for him. Spatial Rend. Night Sorrow roared. He performed the spatial rend, but he controlled its power. He could use the spatial energy, but there would not be any spatial rend. After performing the spatial rend, Night Sorrow activated his spatial energy shield. With a slash, he appeared in front of the level 7 supremacy energy warrior commander. Then he performed the ultimate move of his 7 stars glorious moon spear art, 7 stars glorious moon extreme kill. Unable to dodge, the energy warrior commander could only block with his spear. As he blocked, a part of his spear was melted. After breaking the energy warrior commander's spear, Night Sorrow controlled his reincarnation spear to charge forward and pierce the energy warrior commander's chest. Night Sorrow shook his reincarnation spear and the energy warrior commander's body was destroyed. After solving the biggest problem, Night Sorrow roared. He waved his reincarnation spear and started to fight with the other level 4 supremacy energy warriors. Night Sorrow would not be injured when fighting with the level 4 supremacy energy warriors. This was because his defense was stronger than his opponent's attack. It was only a matter of time before he defeated them. This battle was Night Sorrow's most satisfying battle. After an hour, Night Sorrow killed the last energy warrior with a single strike. You passed the test perfectly. The voice sounded. Night Sorrow looked at his torn battle robe. He changed into a new one and sat down cross-legged, planning to recover. Night Sorrow had just sat down cross-legged. Before he started to recover, a ball of light suddenly appeared. The light enveloped Night Sorrow, and under Night Sorrow's astonishment, the light shuttled back and forth within his body. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the light left Night Sorrow's body and turned into an energy body. I've investigated your situation. There are 2 titles that are suitable for you. Of course, you can also request for a title, but it's unknown whether you will be granted one, the energy figure said. GW net first D hair K, why is it unknown whether or not it can be given? Yishan didn't quite understand, so he asked. For example, if a supremacy passed the test and wanted the title of Invincible Supremacy, the title would not be given to him because he does not have the qualifications to be invincible, the energy figure explained. Then tell me which 2 titles are suitable for me, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a moment. He didn't have any titles in mind, so he wanted to hear what the energy figure had to say about the heaven-sealing Great Hall. Your true chi is of the Void attribute, so you can be given the title of Void. Your body has the potential to become immortal, so you can also be given the title of Immortal, the energy figure said to Night Sorrow. Then I'll be called Immortal, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a moment. He liked this title. Immortal Supremacy. This title is a bit big, but you have the qualifications. In the future, there won't be any more titles in the 9 regions world. This is the only title that belongs to you. Once you become a saint, you'll have to undergo another test. If you pass, you'll become an immortal saint, the energy figure said to Night Sorrow. I understand. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at the energy figure. The energy clone nodded and waved its arm. Suddenly, 2 golden characters appeared in the air. They were ancient characters, but Night Sorrow could recognize them. They were the 2 characters Immortal. The 2 ancient characters churned in the air, constantly glowing. This title of yours is a peak title, and it contains a different meaning. In other words, the 9 regions world's origins acknowledge that you have the potential to become immortal. However, the 9 regions world's origins are broken, and I'm not a complete origin, so the amount of karmic luck I can give you is limited. Also, I heard your conversation with Sacred King Clear Sky. If you can repair the 9 regions world, I can control the 9 regions origins and fuse them into your body. When that time comes, you'll become the ruler of the 9 regions world. You'll be able to control the 9 regions world and prevent it from being invaded. In fact, the 9 regions world will be able to evolve into a supreme world, the energy figure said to Night Sorrow. But I know that 2 of the 9 regions origins have already recognized a master. Can the 9 regions origins be fused again? Will that affect them? Night Sorrow asked. Of course I know. Of the 9 domain essences, the Dongshen essence and Nanli essence have acknowledged me as their master, but that's only a superficial acknowledgement. My true self can take them back. My true self scattered the 9 domain essences all over the world in order to find a master for the 9 domains, but they aren't suitable. My true self isn't an essence body right now. I'm the core essence energy of the 9 domain essences, and I can control the 9 fragmented essences. If I want to take them back, I can. Should I take them back now? No, I don't want that. The people who refine the 2 origins are related to me. I don't want them to be hurt, Night Sorrow said. Oh. When you're able to mend the entire world, I'll consider leaving some origin energy for the 2 of you after retrieving the origin energy. It won't harm them either. The energy body, which was the 9 realms origin energy, explained to Night Sorrow. While Night Sorrow was communicating with the 9 regions origins, golden light appeared in the sky all over the 9 regions world. The golden light tumbled for a while and then turned into 2 symbols, which then turned into 2 ancient characters. The ancient characters floated high in the sky and shone in all directions. On an island in the realm sea, Xiaolanjun and the other saints had arrived at the eastern Shen region's camp. Wu Lingfei was also here. Everyone was looking at the 2 ancient characters dancing in the sky. A titled expert has appeared. It's actually an immortal titled expert. This has never happened before in the 9 regions world, said Long Xianxing. Lord Long Xianxing, what's going on? Asked Xiaolanjun. Someone entered the Heaven Sealing Palace, passed the test and obtained a taboo title. Who is it? Long Xianxing narrowed his eyes and pondered. Senior, what is a taboo title? Asked Wu Lingfei. A title based on one's accomplishments and attribute is a taboo title. The appearance of such a title means that the Heaven Sealing Palace believes that the person who obtained the title can reach the peak of an attribute. Such a title shouldn't appear in the world, muttered Long Xianxing. We can't even get close, but someone actually obtained a taboo title. What's going on? Nangan Sheng looked at the group of people in confusion. We can't, but that doesn't mean others can't. The 9 regions world is about to change, said Long Xianxing. Just now Dongshuan's origin chi trembled and wanted to leave my body. I couldn't suppress it, but it stabilized later, said Wu Lingfei. Chapter 804. The golden light bathed the 9 regions world for a while before dispersing. Within the Heaven Sealing Palace, the 2 ancient characters in the air spun and merged into Night Sorrow's body. Cultivators have to fight against the heavens. The world is the same. It's also a fight against the heavenly Tao. The future of the 9 regions world depends on you. The energy body sighed. Then can I bring others here to get a title? Asked Night Sorrow. Of course. You can leave now. The energy body waved its arm, and Night Sorrow's energy surged. Then Night Sorrow appeared at the entrance of the Heaven Sealing Palace. Good kid, you've become a titled immortal. That's really amazing. Clear Sky Saint King looked at Night Sorrow with gratification. It wasn't easy to get this title, said Night Sorrow with a smile. Clear Sky Saint King then told Night Sorrow about some of the problems with the Clear Sky scripture. Then Night Sorrow planned to leave. He planned to bring some people to the Heaven Sealing Palace to get a title. After all, the karmic luck of the 9 regions world was a huge benefit. Night Sorrow, don't bring too many people in. The 9 regions origin energy situation isn't too good right now. If you bring in a large group of people, it'll be a huge burden on her, said Clear Sky Saint King to Night Sorrow. Yes, I'll bring some people who are close to me, Yishan said. At this moment, a thought appeared in Yishang's mind, and that was to not exceed 20 people. This was the current limit of the 9 regions origin energy. If it exceeded this number, she would not open the Heaven Sealing Hall. Night Sorrow knew that this was the 9 regions origin energy's meaning. It'll be very difficult for you to go back and forth, said Clear Sky Saint King to Night Sorrow. Can you set up a teleportation formation? Asked Night Sorrow. It's useless. There are spatial storms raging outside Clear Sky City. When you teleport, it'll be easy for the spatial turbulence to destroy the spatial channel. The result will be death, said Clear Sky Saint King. Then I can only continue to travel through the void turbulence. Night Sorrow exhaled. There's nothing we can do about it, Clear Sky Saint King said. Following this, the Clear Sky Saint King told Night Sorrow that he wouldn't appear anymore. As for the other things, if it wasn't necessary, he shouldn't tell anyone else. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and understood. He knew that this would cause panic. Some things needed to be done by himself. Even if he told others, it would be meaningless. Child, you have to be careful. The 9 regions world already knows about the immortal title. If you go out and bring others here, you won't be able to hide the fact that you have an immortal title. Killing people to steal fate has happened from time to time. Clear Sky Saint King said to Night Sorrow. I'll be careful. Night Sorrow nodded. Also, there's a map in the storage ring I gave you. It has the symbols of the world passages around the 9 regions world. The Nether world is a very warlike world. It often fights with the 9 regions world. The Nether beasts are very powerful. They're the most warlike race under the Nether race. Clear Sky Saint King reminded Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was stunned for a moment. Then he told him about the Supreme River space and the Nether world, as well as the relationship between them and Clear Sky City. This is troublesome. War will happen sooner or later. The other thing you have to pay attention to is the Profound Mysteries realm. It's a human world and has a very strong desire to fight. They attacked us once, but they were defeated by Void Dao Saint King. You have to go and take a look. We can't let them rise, said Clear Sky Saint King. Isn't that tantamount to invasion? Night Sorrow said. He was a little disgusted by the idea of invasion. Haha, it's not invasion. Whether it's the Nether world or the Profound Mysteries realm, they both want to take over our 9 regions world. It's not the first time they've started a war. Attacking them is a form of defense. Clear Sky Saint King saw Night Sorrow's concern and smiled. Then I'm relieved. Since they want to take over our 9 regions world, we'll fight back, Night Sorrow said. Remember, repairing the 9 regions world is the most important thing. Alright, I'll go to the Sky Ceiling Hall to recover a little. Then I'll stabilize the 1000 Derivation Great Formation. That way, when the spatial storm outside dissipates, Clear Sky City can still exist. The 9 regions origin protective shield is not afraid of the attacks of the Otherworlders. We'll kill as many as we can, but we're afraid of the 9 regions world's people destroying it. Later I'll set up some formations. The 1000 Derivation Killing Formation and 1000 Derivation Illusory Formation are in the storage ring I gave you. You can come and go as you please in the future, Clear Sky Saint King told Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow understands. Night Sorrow nodded. After that, Night Sorrow left the Sky Ceiling Hall and flew toward the edge of the realm's sea. The chaotic spatial storm's existence gave Night Sorrow a headache. The main problem was that it consumed a lot of energy, but it was unavoidable. After spending a day in 2000 high-grade spirit stones, Night Sorrow returned to the island in the realm sea where he and Xueshi were staying. You're back. Xueshi threw herself into Night Sorrow's arms when she saw Night Sorrow. I'm back and I even got a title, Night Sorrow said as he hugged Xueshi. I'm very angry. You abandoned me at a critical moment and ran away by yourself, Xueshi said as she punched Night Sorrow's shoulder. Night Sorrow wrapped Xueshi up and entered the Spacetime Pagoda. Xueshi immediately asked Night Sorrow about his trip to Clear Sky City. Night Sorrow didn't hide anything from Xueshi and told her about the situation in detail. I see. I know about the Central Province Prefecture. It's the territory of Jiyu's family, but I don't know about Su Daotian. I just didn't expect Night Moon's family to be the descendants of Clear Sky Sage King. It seems that you're the hope of the 9 realms, Xueshi said. I plan to go back and call Grandpa, Father, Mother, Aunt Faye and Godslayer's little brother, the 3 Supremacies. I'll also call a few saints from the Celestial Terminus Tower to go to the Heaven Sealing Great Hall to get a title, Yishang said. Then I'll meet the people from Tianji Tower. If Xiaolanjun recognizes me, it'll be troublesome. I don't want to cause any trouble and I don't want you to waste time explaining, Xueshi said. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, I won't put you on the same floor as the others. That way there won't be any possibility of you meeting each other. As for the test, I'll think of a way to split you into several groups. Get on the QDZ network as soon as possible. Xueshi thought for a moment and nodded. She respected Night Sorrow's idea very much. I want to be with you, Xueshi said as she hugged Night Sorrow's neck. You're simply a fairy, okay? Night Sorrow nodded. After the passion, Night Sorrow released the airship and set off for Clear Sky City. Chapter 805. Sitting in the flying ship, Night Sorrow opened the Clear Sky Sage King's storage ring. When the Clear Sky Sage King had given the storage ring to Night Sorrow, he had erased the soul imprint on the storage ring. Night Sorrow took out a sword with spatial energy fluctuations. Night Sorrow knew that this was a high-grade saint artifact. It was the Clear Sky Sage King's sword. You're not going to give it away again, are you? You have the spatial attribute. This sword is very suitable for you. You can also cultivate sword arts, said Shueshi. I want to give it to my grandfather, said Night Sorrow. It's useless. Even if you give it to him, he just became a saint. You won't be able to use it. You should keep it for now, said Shueshi to Night Sorrow. She was thinking from Night Sorrow's point of view. Then let's wait and see, said Night Sorrow after thinking for a moment. Next, Night Sorrow took out an ancient book. It was the Clear Sky Scripture left behind by the Clear Sky Sage King. After putting away the Clear Sky Scripture, Night Sorrow took out 2 diagrams. Then he took out a map of the 9 regions world and the surrounding worlds. Night Sorrow looked at the map and found that it was very different from the current 9 regions world. He could only make a rough estimate. The 9 regions world from 10,000 years ago was completely different from the current 9 regions world. After tidying up, Night Sorrow stretched his waist. That's all? Asked Shueshi to Night Sorrow. Yes, that's all. When I have time, I'll go cultivate the Clear Sky Scripture. It'll take some time to change from the Sacred Cauldron Scripture to the Clear Sky Scripture, said Night Sorrow. 10,000 years ago, the continent's first Saint King only had so little resources. That's ridiculous, muttered Shueshi. Sai, you don't know the whole story. This upper-grade sacred artifact, Sky-Slashing Sword, has probably been with him for a long time. The Clear Sky Sage King couldn't bear to part with it. He took out all the other resources and used them to construct the 9 regions origin defensive shield. Night Sorrow explained the reason why Clear Sky City didn't have any resources and spiritual chi. So that's the case. It's really not easy. After knowing the reason, Shueshi nodded her head. After arriving at Haohai City, Night Sorrow received the sky ship and Snow Dusk. They arrived at the teleportation point and began to teleport back to Sky City. After meeting with Yi Linglan, Night Sorrow asked about his mother. After learning that his mother was still in Sky City, Night Sorrow asked Yi Linglan to inform Yi Linghuan and his father to look for him. Then he returned to his mansion. Son, you ran for a long time, Yu Qing said when she saw Night Sorrow return. Mother, I'm back, Night Sorrow said with a smile. The only, 1-1-N, and all others O is O pirated, big brother, when you're not home mother talks about you every day. She can't wait to talk about you, said Yin Yen with a smile. Night Sorrow smiled and got up to make tea. However, Shueshi was very understanding. She took the tea set from Night Sorrow's hands and began to make tea. Don't tell me she has the potential to become a sister-in-law? Yin Yen smiled as she looked at Shueshi and muttered. A child like you shouldn't speak nonsense. Yu Qing glared at Yin Yen Xiao. Soon after, Yi Linghuan arrived. While everyone was drinking tea together, Yi Wuyo also arrived at the residence. What is it? What do you need me to do? Yi Wuyo looked at Night Sorrow and asked. He was afraid that his son would be wronged. There are no outsiders here, so I'll get straight to the point. Night Sorrow said that he had entered Haotian City and obtained a title. You mean you can bring some people in? Yi Linghuan looked at Night Sorrow with some surprise. Yes, but not too many. Grandfather, you can arrange it, Night Sorrow said to Yi Linghuan. Your parents must go. Grandfather will not decline. Night Moon also has 4 emperors. In addition, your 6th uncle, King Linghuan, should also go. Isn't there a bit too many people? After Yi Linghuan mentioned a few people, he smiled at Night Sorrow. This was because there were 8 people. I'm the one who will bring people in. I'm from Night Moon, so others naturally can't say anything. In addition, our god-slaying squad has 3 venerables. Yun Huang, Ling Long, and Liang Yu will also go. That's 11 people, Night Sorrow said. Besides the people from Night Moon's dynasty, Wu Lingfei and Long Shenxing must go. As for the people from Medicine Valley, Night Sorrow thought for a while and felt that he should put them aside. After all, the venerables from Medicine Valley were not very strong, and there was some gap between them and the venerables from the god-slaying squad. It was meaningless for them to go. Including Shueshi, there were 14 people in total. Then there were the people from Tianjin Tower, including Xie Lanjun, Lin Yuandao, Guoxiao, Latrin Swan, and Hua Haining. As for the people from the North Sea region, Night Sorrow could not take care of them. Night Sorrow planned to give the people from Tianjin Tower 5 places. As for the people from Tianjin Tower, they should make their own arrangements. How about it? Do you have enough places? Yiling Huan looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Night Sorrow thought for a while and said, let's forget about the Medicine Valley. After all, it's not easy to get a title. There's still one more place. Let's see who we can give it to. Then give it to the monarch of the Yun dynasty. This is Grandpa's selfishness. The Taiching domain must rise. Yiling Huan said again. Grandpa, I need absolute trust to take everyone there. We need to enter my space sacred treasure. It can be said that I'm putting their lives in my hands. This time, I'm going to spend thousands of high-grade spirit stones. It's a thankless task. Night Sorrow expressed his concerns. That's true. Grandpa let him know. If he goes, he'll have to pay the spirit stones. Yiling Huan said. Then Yiling Huan left Sky City and went to inform Yun Tianlong. Son, you were the one who made the golden light that filled the sky. You're so domineering. Yu Qing looked at Night Sorrow and said with a smile. It's really not easy. However, it seems that I passed the examination and got a top-level forbidden title. Even if it's difficult for others, there should be a limit. Mother, you can do it. Night Sorrow said with a smile. While they were talking, Yang Lei and the others returned. Looking at Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi, Night Sorrow told them about this matter. The three of them were not venerables and could not participate. Then Night Sorrow apologized to Sikong Chuyu. He could not take care of the Sikong family at the moment. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Sikong Chuyu shook his head. This is the big picture. The people you chose were all chosen for a reason. In terms of qualifications, Yun Huang, Ling Long, and Liang Yu are a bit inferior. However, they are all very outstanding. If they have luck, they will grow faster in the future. Night Sorrow explained the reason for the three members of the God-slaying team. Night Sorrow was still thinking about Tianyu. When the time came, he could only communicate with the 9 regions' origin energy alone. Aoi then called Yun Huang and the others over. Night Sorrow told them about this matter. The three of them were very happy. Of course, they knew how rare this opportunity was. Then Yi Shinshen, Yi Xinyue, Yi Shenlei, and Yi Shenquang all came. Night Moon and the Emperor, but because of the previous battle, their cultivation was either destroyed or they had no future. 2 hours later, Yiling Huan also returned. Yun Tianlong is really disappointing. He told the family that he was looking for a breakthrough and then disappeared. Chapter 806. Night Sorrow then nodded at Sikong Chuyu. Then I'll go home and inform my father, Sikong Chuyu said and left the city in the sky. Sigh, my old man can't even drink soup, let alone eat meat, Yun Huang said bitterly. With the teleportation array, Sikong Chuyu was very fast. He brought his father back in half an hour. Sikong Chuyu gave an introduction to everyone. Sikong Tianding bowed to the 4 emperors of Night Moon, then cupped his hands to Yiling Huan, Yu Wuyo, and Yu Qing. In-law, I'm very sorry. Because I've been in seclusion recently, I didn't visit Night Sorrow's mother. Yu Wuyo cupped his hands to Sikong Tianding. That's understandable. Chuyu's mother has also been in seclusion recently, so she didn't come, Sikong Tianding said. Canet head. You hair. Yiling Huan told Sikong Tianding about entering Night Sorrow's space-time pagoda because he was handing his life over to Night Sorrow. Haha, a son-in-law is half a son. How can I not trust him? Sikong Tianding said with a smile. As for trusting Night Sorrow and Night Moon's emperors, there was naturally no problem. As for the 3 members of the God-slaying team, there was even less of a problem. Then you guys go in. I'll go to Tianji Tower again, then we'll set off for that small island. Night Sorrow held the space-time pagoda in his right hand and told everyone not to resist. Then he transferred them to the 50th floor of the pagoda and Shueshi to the 60th floor. After putting everyone into the space-time pagoda, Night Sorrow went to the lake and also put Tianyu, who was cultivating, into the pagoda. Then he rushed to Tianji Tower. When he arrived at Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow saw Lin Yuandao and Guo. Night Sorrow said that he could enter Haotian City and the Heaven-Sealing Great Hall. Then he said that he could give Lin Yuandao 5 spots, excluding Wu Lingfei. Then let's go to that island first. I'll discuss this with the Supreme Elder. Lin Yuandao thought for a moment, then called for Guo and Hua Haining to follow Night Sorrow to the island in the Realm Sea. In the camp of the Eastern Shen region, Night Sorrow saw Long Shenxing, Wu Lingfei, Xiaolanjun and the others. However, Nangan Sheng and Zhenhai Sheng were not there. They had brought their own people elsewhere. As for this matter, it depends on everyone's situation. After all, this is the same as putting your lives in my hands. If you are worried, then forget it. After all, I can't afford to pay a large amount of spirit stones and be suspected. After explaining the situation, Night Sorrow also explained his own intentions. I'm not afraid, haha. Long Xianxing laughed. Wu Lingfei smiled and nodded at Night Sorrow. When it came to trust, the person she trusted the most was Night Sorrow. I'm very grateful that you can give me 5 spots in Tianji Tower. Also, it's going to cost a lot of spirit stones. Xiaolanjun looked at Night Sorrow. No one would believe me even if I told them. I made a trip there myself and a few thousand high-grade spirit stones were gone. I spent a lot of energy traveling through the spatial storms, so I had to enter the pagoda of spacetime to recover. When the time comes, the pagoda of spacetime will have to withstand the spatial storms. It will require a lot of energy from spirit stones. Night Sorrow smiled bitterly. Tianji Tower will pay for this. What do you think, Master K? Xiaolanjun looked at Lin Yuandao. Elder Hua, did you bring spirit stones? Lin Yuandao looked at Hua Haining. Hua Haining was the elder in charge of managing resources in Tianji Tower. I only brought 4,000 high-grade spirit stones with me. Hua Haining took out a spatial ring. How about this? I'll use top-grade spirit stones in exchange. Using top-grade spirit stones isn't worth it. Night Sorrow took out 40 top-grade spirit stones. Don't be like this. We don't feel good about cheating our juniors. You giving 5 spots to Tianji Tower is already very rare. We appreciate it, said Xiaolanjun. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and nodded. He put away the spatial ring Hua Haining had given him. Night Sorrow, Aunt Fei has 1,000 high-grade spirit stones. I don't need them right now. Take them. Wu Lingfei also took out 2 spatial belts. Aunt Fei, I really don't need them. Night Sorrow shook his head. Be good. Aunt Fei doesn't need spirit stones for cultivation right now. Besides, if you want to use them, use top-grade spirit stones. Wu Lingfei pulled on Night Sorrow's hand and stuffed the spatial belts into Night Sorrow's hand. Then Senior Xia, Master K, please discuss the arrangements for the spots. We can leave at any time, said Night Sorrow. Xiaolanjun nodded and entered the tent with Lin Yuandao and the others. After all, there were still many people in Tianji Tower. The matter of the spots needed to be discussed. A moment later the results came out. Xiaolanjun, Lin Yuandao, Guoxiao, Hua Haining and Letrin Swan. Li Changtian was currently in the eastern Xian region, so he couldn't make it. After making the decision, Night Sorrow brought them into the spacetime pagoda and then flew back to where he had entered the Realm Sea last time. After arriving at the edge of the Realm Sea, Night Sorrow rested for a moment and then flew into the Realm Sea. With the experience of transmigrating, Night Sorrow had to work very hard this time. It took him a day and 3,000 high-grade spirit stones to reach Supreme Sky City. Arriving at Vast Sky City, Night Sorrow's consumption decreased. After transmigrating, he rested and recovered, and then transmigrated again. After a few times, Night Sorrow arrived at an area without spatial storms. Then Night Sorrow brought everyone out. Of course, Xueshi was still in the spacetime pagoda. Seeing everyone's surprised expressions, Night Sorrow explained the reason for the situation. Then Night Sorrow brought everyone to the 9 Regions Origin Energy Shield. This 9 Regions Origin Energy Shield isn't harmful to the people of the 9 regions, but it's a great weapon against outsiders. It's also the last layer of protection for the Heaven Sealing Great Hall. After explaining, Night Sorrow brought everyone into the 9 Regions Origin Energy Shield. As everyone approached the Heaven Sealing Great Hall, the door opened and a group of people entered. Tianyu followed everyone in. After everyone entered, Night Sorrow looked at the Heaven Sealing Great Hall. Senior 9 Regions, are you here? You really brought 20 people. The 9 Regions Origin Energy's voice sounded in Night Sorrow's ears. I still have some people here. I didn't bring them because I didn't dare to hurt you, said Night Sorrow. You have another person's aura on you. Let her go. One more person won't make a difference. The 9 Regions Origin Energy expressed its intention. Night Sorrow hurriedly let Xueshi out and let her go to the Heaven Sealing Great Hall. This group of people has good potential. The 9 regions still have hope. The 9 regions Origin Energy communicated with Night Sorrow. The last person should be separated from the others. When she comes out, change to another place. I'll directly put her into the spacetime pagoda. Night Sorrow said. This is a small matter. I can help you tell you that it can only limit 20 people because the 9 regions Origin Energy can't be used. It's hard to replenish it. If you continue to use it, it won't be worth it. However, once the 9 regions world is repaired, there won't be this drawback. You have a supreme attribute world. At that time, the world law's power will be stronger than before the 9 regions world was destroyed. It will be difficult for the experts of the profound sky world to descend. The 9 regions origin energy communicated with Night Sorrow. Chapter 807. He's not good. This senior knows a lot about him. Over the years we have often communicated. He has reincarnated a few times, but because the conditions of the 9 regions world were not good enough, he was unable to break through to the Saint King realm. Therefore, in this life he persevered until the end of his lifespan and refused to reincarnate. He wanted to persevere for the 9 regions world until the end. The 9 regions world source conveyed the news that shocked Night Sorrow. That's indeed the case. It's better for me to say it than him. Yi Qianhua's figure appeared. When you cultivate the clear heaven scripture that I gave you to a certain extent, you will discover some of the information I left behind. Of course, there's also the possibility of not discovering it. After you left last time, I thought a lot and felt that there are some things I can tell you. The Clear Heaven Saint King looked at Night Sorrow and said. Following the Clear Heaven Saint King's narration, Night Sorrow learned some unknown secrets. The Yi clan was once a very famous clan in the profound sky world. It was one of the top clans in the South Sky Empire. At that time, the eldest son of the Yi clan even married the princess of the South Sky Empire. However, because the eldest son of the Yi clan was extremely talented, the crown prince of the South Sky Empire felt threatened and set up a trap to frame the Yi clan with the crime of betrayal. Did you know that the Yi clan was the #1 clan in the South Sky Empire? But because of suspicion, the crown prince used despicable methods. He used the eldest son of the eldest son as a threat to cripple the cultivation of the eldest son of the Yi clan and the princess of the South Sky Empire. In the end, he cruelly killed the 2 of them. The Clear Heaven Saint King sighed. Looking at Night Sorrow, the Clear Heaven Saint King's face was filled with misery. Do you really want to know why I know so much? It's because I'm the child of the eldest son of the Yi clan and the princess of the South Sky Empire? I'm that child. Night Sorrow felt very sad in his heart because he felt the pain of the Clear Heaven Saint King Yi Qianhua. After the war started, some of my clansmen and I were sent to the 9-domain world by the patriarch of the Yi clan, who is also my grandfather. I was unwilling to give up. I missed my father and mother, so I decided to take revenge. After that, I experienced 3 great massacres in the sky profound world, and every time my body would be torn apart. Then, my soul would reincarnate and fight again. After the last great battle, my heart was tired because I could not see any hope. Old ancestor, you can reincarnate, Night Sorrow said anxiously. 10,000 years ago, when the 9 regions world was destroyed, my heart died and I gave up on reincarnation. The disaster of the 9 regions world was brought about by the Yi clan and their subordinate clans, so even if I gave up on reincarnation, I still had to work hard for the 9 regions world. Now I see hope, but it's too late to reincarnate. Night Sorrow didn't want to see Yi Qianhua's sad ending. Maybe my father and mother will die. Perhaps I'll only be able to see my father and mother if I die completely. People say that after living for a long time you'll become numb. But the longer I live, the more I miss them. I can't hold on anymore. Child, live well. Living well is more important than anything else. Yi Qianhua sighed and disappeared from Yi Shang's sight. He's cooperating with the Heaven Sealing Great Hall, which means he's cooperating with me to strengthen your soul clone. He doesn't have the ability to come out and see you again. Maybe you can calm the regret in his heart. The 9 regions origin Qi expressed a thought and disappeared in front of Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow felt very sad. Because of his ancestors' grief, he deeply felt the pain in Yi Qianhua's heart. Clenching his teeth, Night Sorrow felt that he had the ability to do something for Yi Qianhua. Because that was his ancestor. His ancestor had been wronged. As a descendant, he had the responsibility to avenge his ancestor. Night Sorrow also understood the origins of the Night Moon Empire. The Night Moon Empire was a family in the sky profound world. They couldn't withstand the despicable methods of others and were forced to develop in the 9 regions world. Feeling the grief in Yi Qianhua's heart, Night Sorrow felt very depressed. Could be said that it was the shame of the Yi clan. Night Sorrow felt that if there was a day when the Night Moon Empire could trample the Sky South Empire under their feet, then it would be considered as washing away their shame. As long as I'm alive, I will definitely avenge my ancestor and the Yi clan. I will definitely let the Night Moon Empire stand at the peak. Night Sorrow, who had this thought, shouted towards the heaven-sealing Great Hall. At this moment, in a separate space in the heaven-sealing Great Hall, Yi Qianhua was sitting cross-legged. There was a special array in front of him. The jade container that contained Night Sorrow's blood and soul clone was within the array. Clear Sky Sage King, your past few lives have been tragic. However, this descendant of yours is a good person. Now you don't have to care about this anymore. Go and reincarnate. Due to your efforts for the 9 regions world, I can give you a strand of origin energy to support you. It will allow you to complete your reincarnation before the end of your life. The 9 regions origin energy said to Yi Qianhua's soul. But this will be a form of harm to you. Yi Qianhua's originally lifeless eyes lit up. Hashtag forever free Yufi. Look at the small video camera. Cultivators are virtuous. You have done good deeds for the 9 regions, so I naturally have to do something for you. Go and reincarnate. With the protection of the reincarnation force, the spatial storm outside will not be a threat to you. As for the array that needs to be set up outside, you have already set up the array foundation. Later on, when I recover, all you need to do is to pour energy into it. The 9 regions origin energy separated a ray of light and entered Yi Qianhua's soul clone. Yi Qianhua stood up and bowed to the 9 regions origin energy. Then, a mixed white light appeared on his body and he disappeared from the heaven-sealing Great Hall. While Night Sorrow was thinking, a golden light appeared in the sky above the heaven-sealing Great Hall. Moreover, the golden light continued to appear. Night Sorrow knew that someone had passed the test. Then more and more people appeared. The first to appear was Yi Linghuan. Grandpa, the Sky Slayer title is yours, right? Night Sorrow asked. He had seen the Sky Slayer title just now. It was the first to appear. The light had also covered the other titles. Yes. Yi Linghuan smiled and began to meditate. Then other people appeared. However, most of the titles were in their own names or their previous code names. Wu Lingfei's title was Golden Phoenix, Yi Linghuan's title was Wuyo, and Yu Qing's title was Qing Fei. While everyone was resting, Night Sorrow left the front of the heaven-sealing Great Hall and walked to an area where no one was paying attention to. Then he put Xueshi, who had been sent out by the 9 regions origin energy, into the 60th floor of the Spacetime Treasure Pagoda. Then he returned to the main entrance of the heaven-sealing Great Hall. At this time, everyone came out. Not everyone had obtained a title. Ling Long didn't get one. Latrin Swan didn't get one. Neither did the Sikong Heavenly Cauldron. The 3 of them had failed the test. The 3 of them were very sad because this opportunity had not come easily. However, the 3 of them had wasted it. No one could do anything about this. The heaven-sealing Great Hall's test had different levels of difficulty depending on the level of the examinee. The standard for a half-saint was the standard for a half-saint. If you weren't at the top of this level, you wouldn't get a title. Don't worry. This is nothing. Just come back after cultivating for a while, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Captain, I'm sorry to disappoint you. I've embarrassed our god-slaying squad, Ling Long said in a low voice. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.